Good evening and happy Sabbath, Covenant Advent Church. And good evening and happy Sabbath to those of you who've joined us online. Welcome back for our evening study. And I pray that you'll be richly blessed as we spend the last remaining hours of the Sabbath together. We will start with a hymn. I ask that you kindly turn your hymnals to hymn number 341. Hymn number 341. To God be the glory. Hymn number 341. To God be the glory, great things He hath done. So loved He the world that He gave us His Son, who yielded His life an atonement for sin, and opened the life gate that all may go in. Praise the Lord, praise the Lord. Let the earth hear His voice. Praise the Lord, praise the Lord. Let the people rejoice. Oh, come to the Father through Jesus the Son, and give Him the glory. Great things He hath done. Oh, perfect redemption, the purchase of blood, to every believer, the promise of God. The vilest offender who truly believes, that moment from Jesus a pardon receives. Praise the Lord, praise the Lord. Let the earth hear His voice. Praise the Lord, praise the Lord. Let the people rejoice. Oh, come to the Father through Jesus the Son, and give Him the glory. Great things He hath done. Great things He hath taught us, great things He hath done, and great our rejoicing through Jesus the Son. But purer and higher and greater will be our wonder, our transport, when Jesus we see. Praise the Lord, praise the Lord. Let the earth hear His voice. Praise the Lord, praise the Lord. Let the people rejoice. Oh, come to the Father through Jesus the Son, and give Him the glory. Great things He hath done. Amen. Great things He hath done. I will now turn the evening program over to Pastor Lloyd Grubb.
Good evening, and great things He has done, as we have in a squall going on outside. Fascinating. Nice snow squall is happening. So welcome again as to we do our health seminar, and as we're keeping it here for the rest of the quarter, even health seminar. And our topic for this evening is appetite and weight loss. Appetite and weight loss is how to maintain healthy weight, and then how to keep your appetite under control. So some tips and things that I want to share from experience and so forth. So let us pray. Our Father, who art in heaven, I'm thankful for the blessings of your word and for the blessings, dear Lord, of knowing thee. I pray that you may be with us as we study together and as we share these things, dear Lord, to improve our health and our health of mind and spiritual health. This is my prayer in Jesus' name. Amen. So appetite and weight loss is what we're looking at here. And I'm sharing how to improve your health from this point of view. So what does Christ tell us He will save us from and give us in return? So in John chapter 10, verse 9, we had read this earlier, John chapter 10, verse 9 and 10. I am the door. By me, if any man enter in, he shall be saved, and shall go in and out and find good pasture. The thief cometh not but to steal and to kill and to destroy. I am come that they might have life, and that they might have it more abundantly. So we want to have the abundant life, and Christ came to give us the abundant life. And these two texts to me summarize the topic that we'll be looking at. And I'm going to start out, it's appetite and weight loss, but I'm going to focus first on weight loss, and then I'm going to go to appetite. And so these two texts are powerful to deal with this idea. I am come that they might, I am the door, and by me, if any man enter in, he shall be saved and shall go in and out and find good pasture. If you listen this morning, part of, to me, appetite and weight loss is about finding good pasture. It's the way you view the food. It's a rethinking, a reimagining of what you consume, the lifestyle you live, and also what, how you want to be, how you want to feel. All of that has to be reimagined, rethought out, rethink. And so when he says you go out and find good pasture, it is your definition of what is good pasture. If you have an idea of what is good pasture is a bucket of chicken, then, you know, deep fried chicken, then you're going to have problems with weight. You're going to have problems with appetite. So we all have to consume. We are consumers, but it's how you imagine consumption. You have to reimagine consumption and see food in a different way. So a lot of what I want to share with you is most of it probably is going to be a redefining of what is good pasture. So use the door, and when you go through the door, you're going to be saved, but you're going to have a reimagining, a new experience. The sinner is trying to be saved by doing life the way he used to do it. We'll find that it's going to be an impossibility. You have to have new desires, new interests, new things that you do. You have to see things a different way. Unless we could talk all day long about tips and tricks, and we're going to do some of that, but not all day long. And it will not work unless you have a reimagining of how do you see yourself, how do you see what is good pasture, what do you eat, how do you sleep, all of this has to be reimagined. As long as you're trying to fit the old life with the new way, it's just not really going to work, because it's totally two different way of doing business. You know, if you say you believe in genetically engineered food, and I say I believe in naturally grown organic food, it's just two different type of food. It's not the same thing. And so you're going to do one or the other, but you can't do both. It is ridiculous. So notice in John 10, verse 10, it says, the thief cometh but for to steal. So you're trying to feed yourself something. You're trying to fill yourself with something. So you have to reimagine what you're filling yourself, because one thing is robbing you, but you think you're benefiting. The other thing, you're going to spend some money, but you're going to truly benefit. The thief is robbing you. He's making you feel like you're getting a deal. It's a steal. Imagine somebody say, we have $1 menu. Somebody say, man, that's a steal. I can get full my belly for nothing. But you're being robbed, right? Just imagine, how could they do that? How can they produce food that cheap? And to kill and to destroy. And so when we want health, we want to start with how to reimagine what we're spending money and time on. Because a lot of what causes people to be in bad health is bad lifestyle and garbage food. I am come that they might have life, and that they might have it more abundantly. So you want to have a better lifestyle. So somebody said, no, Lord, but you know, if you start to go certain places and buy certain food, why did you spend $100 and I can get probably 4 times the volume for less? Sure, if you've seen it, you can see a person with a shopping cart full of food. They have stuff on the bottom of the shopping cart, and nothing is in there is of any value. Nothing is in there is of any value. Nothing. I mean, I've seen it before. Nothing is of any value. You shouldn't even feed a pig what they're buying. Literally, a dog. You will kill the dog. But yet, it's full to the brim. It's just, stuff want to fall out the shopping cart. And you could have 25% less of the stuff that they have. And you're paying probably twice the amount of money. It's a fascinating thing to watch. So it's a reimagining of what is food and how do I eat and how do I approach my food. So what advice does the Bible give us about honey? Notice here in Proverbs 24, verse 13, it says, "My son, eat thou honey, because it is good, and the honeycomb which is sweet to the taste." So the issue of consuming something sweet and consuming something that's very flavorful is not the discussion. The discussion is what exactly. It's a reimagining of what it is. Proverbs 25, verse 27 says, "It's not good to eat much honey. So for a man to search out their own glory is not good." So eating honey is good, but too much honey is not good. So there's a balance that we have to come. There's a sweet experience that we must partake of, but doing too much of it is not good. So the food that we partake of is a reimagine, because the food changes the experience. The food changes how we live and how we think and all these things. I want you to imagine this for your mind. Me and Sister Tamara, my friend in there, was talking earlier. And just imagine this idea here, beautiful idea that we were talking about. A few hundred years ago, when the explorers found the new people, the people that were lost, they thought they were the people that were the forgotten tribe, because they looked so healthy and vibrant. The Native American people, they say in history, they look vibrant, healthy. They were eating more natural. They eat meat, but it was not out of control. They were wiping out the buffaloes and stuff like that. And they thought they looked so healthy, and they were the lost tribe, lost race. And they probably thought they had the fountain of youth. Forward now a few hundred years, after now, the tribes now have been introduced to lots of meat, lots of white sugar, lots of white flour, lots of white rice, lots of deep fried food, the cheapest genetically engineered food. And you look at the tribes and you realize they're in probably some of the biggest trouble in the nation when it comes on to sickness and bad health outcome. What has changed? It's a reimagining. They were introduced to a different way of eating, a different way of living. And they're getting the biggest probably whipping when it comes on to the diet and lifestyle. And yet remember now, their financial situation never improved. They were basically living poor, nomadic lifestyle. And yet their health was superior to those who came from a superior culture, so to speak, a more advanced, civilized culture. And yet their diet and lifestyle was of such that they were healthier, and they were thought to be the lost tribe. They thought to have vibrancy and health. Now you look at the health outcomes. You look at when disease come to them, how it wipes them, because not now because of disease, because they were not used to the syphilis and smallpox, but because now the diet and lifestyle is so bad that they're high suicide, high diabetes, high all these things. The various different problems when they come on to food. So then you can imagine the changing of the food. The genetics never change. All that changes the food. And if you have time, after the seminar, don't do it now, go into Google, because somebody alerted me to this, because I didn't even notice this before. Go to Google and type in the fattest countries or most obese countries in the world. And what you're going to find is all the native countries, or normally it's native islands, that are conquered and oppressed currently by Australia, New Zealand, and America, are the 10 fattest and sickest people groups in the world. Fascinated how oppression can make you reimagine what food is. And by just changing your imagination of food and you as an individual physically, and oppression and depression can make you just get blow up and just get big and sick. So hence, in order for us to switch that and change that, we too have to reimagine what food is. We too have to look and say, let's go to certain places where people still eat very basic natural food, and look at them, look at their health outcome, look at their size of them. You realize that something is just simply has to be reimagined. We got to go back to simple diets, simple foods, and that will change anything. Notice, view your food differently. cancer associated with increased consumption of animal products. Because you see, 100, 200, 100 years ago, I would say, there was not mass refrigeration. So what you would have to do, you simple would have to take dead carcasses and eat it quick or bury it and burn it. You couldn't have dead carcasses sitting around. Today we have refrigeration so we can keep a body on ice. But a lot of cultures, you die, you bury within a few days because they have to. You know, now we have refrigeration so we can keep dead carcasses for a year, even a few years. I remember they said they had some dead carcasses in England, I think on a refrigerator and a fridge for 10 years, and they released it to the market, to the public. Imagine that thing was freezer burned 10 times over. So cancer associated with increased consumption of animal product, bladder cancer. So you say, well, that's supposed to be only, you know, digestive tract cancers. But when you eat meat, you have an increased association with cancer. Think about it. Cancer is a Western world thing. You know, you talk about something that's one of the benefits of being in the Western world. Cancer. And one of the main reasons why is because, you have a massive availability of just preserving dead carcasses. So bladder cancer, brain cancer, breast cancer, colon cancer, endometrial cancer, intestinal cancer, which is the obvious, kidney cancer, leukemia, another obvious one from the chicken. You know, the Colonel Sanders, the head of the one that invented or made the company Kentucky Fried Chicken. He actually died of leukemia disease. Leukemia and cancer goes together. It's a blood cancer. Lung cancer, lymphoma, oral pharyngeal cancer. So cancer in the throat and mouth. People who eat what they're not supposed to eat sexually also has a high rate of that type of oral and throat cancer. Ovarian cancer, pancreatic cancer, prostate cancer, skin cancer, and stomach cancer, which again is obvious. So you find that eating meat, any type of eating of meat will increase your cancer cause. Now, view your food differently. Dietary factors can induce calcium loss in urine and affect weight loss. So notice here again, it's the way you view your food. When you think about weight loss, you have to reimagine what is healthy food and what's good food, what's good for nutrients. And then your partake of will damage your body. You have to just have a total new view of it. So animal protein is an example. Animal protein will affect your weight. Too much of it make you bigger. Because your body already produce, remember we're animals, so to speak. And some people don't like that, but we're animals. And we produce like cholesterol and stuff like that. When we eat animals, we're eating their cholesterol and we're going to overabundance the body with cholesterol. We're going to put too much fat inside of our system. So what we want is to partake of plants as all the Lord instructs us. And we find that we can produce what we need to produce for ourselves. So this is how you view the food. Salt is how you view the salt. Some people will put salt in the food before they start eating. They don't mind if the food is salty. You know, I could fix their business because sometimes I've cooked the food with too much salt. And if I cook the food with too much salt, I would love to see they take a plate of food that I've cooked with too much salt and just start throw salt on it before they eat. Before they eat it. That would be a fascinating thing. And then you could have elevated blood sugar and all kind of blood pressure and all kind of stuff like that from that. Caffeine is the way you view caffeine. How do you view caffeine? Because if a person drink caffeine, I always predict this and I always say this. If I ever hear a person who is probably about in their 40s or older and they drink high amount of caffeinated beverages, I always predict that they'll die soon from pancreatic cancer. And so far, I've been always getting it right. I remember when I learned that the guy from Apple drink excessive amount of cancer, I said, watch, he's going to die soon. And he died soon after. And I remember when I hear that Hugo Chavez from Venezuela was an excessive coffee drinker, I predict that he'll die soon and he dies shortly after. You can almost predict when a person, especially when you start getting about in their 40s, that they're a high coffee drinker, they normally die shortly after that. It don't take too long to kill them. As you get older, it becomes terrible for pancreatic cancer. It's a good association. So you can make that prediction too if you read a little bit more about it. You can call it. It's not too hard to call. Caffeine. But caffeine is a diuretic, so it causes the person to lose water. That's why people who drink coffee always look dried up and look older than their age, because it's sucking the life out of them. And it's a poison. 80 cups of caffeine will kill you. 80 cups of coffee will kill you instantly. Caffeine is a good, or should I say, coffee is a very good natural, non-toxic pesticide and stuff like that. It's good for gardening. You put it in your garden to ward off insects and stuff. So this is very good. It has a very good use naturally to ward off insects in organic gardening. So it's how you view your food. So it's the moment you start viewing it like that, you start seeing it as a poison. And when you start seeing it as a poison, it's better for you to stay away from it. If you see it as something great for food, it's imagination. It's how you view it. All of a sudden, you cut off the coffee and you'll be able to look younger, feel younger, and your body, and then you're not going to be on the road to pancreatic cancer. Refined sugar. So you view refined sugar. Refined sugar is the end stage of sugar production. It is they have gone through how many process and iteration to get rid of all the nutrients and just give you the sweet and some malt, a little malt and some sweet. So when you understand that, you view it as basically, you start seeing it as a toxic chemical, then you stay away from it, and then you find that you start to have weight loss. It just become powerful. Alcohol, you can see a guy could be slim as myself, as an example. I have a beer belly. You have a little pouch. So that he's going to die of stroke or something like that. You can call that. And why? Because he drink beer all the time. He drink all kind of alcohol. And so he's having fat around his midsection, which is a good predictor of a person that will die with coronary heart problems. So this is alcohol again. You see the way you view it. And I can keep going on in the future. I'm going to talk about alcohol for the midday service. And drugs. If you see the drugs as good, then you partake. If you see it as bad, you don't partake. It depends how you view these things. Nicotine, which is not per se a partake in the sense of eating it, but it's something that you inhale to destroy your lungs and your brain. So nicotine, again, the way you see this, you find that people who have these type of addictions, they end up have bad outcomes for various different diseases, and it's also damaged the amount of urine. It causes calcium to be extracted from the urine and other things that calcium needed. Aluminum containing antacids suck calcium from out of the body, because the body has to neutralize the antacid because of its toxicity, and try to make it become from acid to alkaline. So this leach calcium out of the bones and then cause the bones to be frail or to be not as strong. Nothing that I didn't put up on the board here, but I should, is milk. Milk, normally they say if you want to have strong calcium or strong bones, you drink milk, but milk has been proven very much so. The high consumption of milk and cheese is associated with brittle bones and with bones that are not very dense. Bones you easily to have breaks of bones and stuff like that. Low amount of calcium, because in order to neutralize milk and to make it digestible, after it come from the cow, it's a very potent protein, the milk protein, and then it's homogenized and pasteurized. That milk becomes very acidic and dangerous to the body, and it causes the body to bleach calcium. So people who drink out the milk, they might be big, but their bones are very thin. They not have good bone, no good calcium. So that's important to note. So milk is for cows. If you want to be big like a baby cow, you drink milk. Drugs such as antibiotics, steroids, and thyroid hormone are drugs that will pull calcium out and will mess up your weight problem and give you weight problem, because you have to find natural ways to balance out the thyroid. So is the thyroid the problem or something that's the problem? I'm going to tell you soon what the problem is with thyroid. Vitamin A supplements can also adjust your weight and give you a problem. You need vitamin A, but vitamin A has to do with like fat absorption and stuff like that. So important to note. So what are some things to do? We're going to get straight into it. What are some things to do that are important when it comes on to weight loss? Very important when it comes on to weight loss. How to lose weight. Things to do to maintain a normal weight. So normal for you is not normal for me, but for whatever normal for you. So first principle here that I think is massive, and I believe that this principle, you almost cannot be overweight if you follow this principle. and the other principle, which is appetite. But this is the mechanicalness, mechanics now, body mechanics. Eat last meal at least 3 to 5 hours before bedtime. So this principle here is so potent that I'm not going to spend a lot of time on it. I'm just going to tell you that it's potent. Your last meal should be eaten 3 to 5 hours before you go to bed. So in other words, you should go to bed and the food should be already digested. You shouldn't go to bed with food on your stomach. It should be already passed from your stomach going into the small intestine. So eat the last meal. Now, why I say 3 to 5 hours before bedtime is if you eat the last meal at 9 o'clock, you go to bed 10 o'clock. Now, almost no matter what the meal, unless it's some straight salad or a ball of fruits, it will not be digested. A smoothie, and it depends on how thick it is, a smoothie or a nut shake or nut milk with some fruits or whatever it is, it's going to take about 3 hours. Could even take 4 if you make it too thick. A regular meal is going to take 4 and then probably another hour or so to clear the stomach. So the meal that you see beside you there on that picture, that meal is literally a picture of some mixed vegetable with some asparagus and some tofu. That meal probably could go within 4. So if you're going to go to bed at 10 o'clock, that meal should not be, you should finish eating that meal at 6. Preferably probably 5. That means it's not going to digest if you're eating at 9. As I say, no way, no how. You could, as I said, jump and go run on the treadmill, go do it, ain't going to get it out of your stomach. That meal is a better constructed meal than if you had carbs in it. No, not that meal don't have no carbs. Closest to carbs might be some of the carrots. There's not really no carbs in it. It's just really a meal that it's a way to make food digest faster by just having protein and vegetables or carbs and vegetables. When you add carbs to increase the complexity, or if you had a carb meal and you had protein to increase the complexity. So that's one, if you want to say, trick, so to speak, in body mechanics. You notice you have beans, he has some broccoli, and some asparagus, blah, blah. So that's a good example of something that is a vegan meal, it's plant-based, whatever. You don't like it have too much seasoning because I think it was used for picture. It's a picture purpose. But just give you an example. So when you're eating food, you gotta always think about more so the last meal. The last meal is, if you have a weight problem, is always the most difficult meal. Because in most cultures, your biggest meal is in the dinner time, the evening. And what that does is that the body can't clear it, so that meal putrefies, ferments, and it sits there in your stomach and often make it be impossible for you to eat the next morning. So this is why I believe it's appetite and weight loss, because it's a massive effort on a daily basis to try to eat food that's going to clear the stomach before you go to bed. I could tell you that the whole weight loss program could sit on this one principle, the whole thing, because it challenges the appetite, it challenges the self-control to be able to not go to bed with food on your stomach. You can go to bed with food in your stomach, even wake up next morning, and your stomach feel, around your abdominal area feel tender, because what it is that your body's trying to sleep, and it cannot sleep properly because you have food trying to digest at the same time. And then the food is there kind of putrefying, and then it causes, higher smell, stool, all these things. So I'm going to tell you, this is a major principle. We're going to go on and talk about a lot of the stuff that they're important, but I don't know if they can be important in this one. Is to not have undigested food when you go to bed. It does not make for good sleep. It does not make for good digestive system, because the foods oftentimes will repeat on you, or cause you to wake up feeling like you have undigested food on you. And I just know so many people, that's their biggest problem, is eating late at night. Somebody used to say to me, Lloyd, I like to wake up, I like to, like at 12 o'clock, and just go eat like a bowl of rice and tofu or something like that. And then they have, hell to pay the next day. But this is something that if you get a hold of as this principle, your last meal. So that means if you're going to bed 12 o'clock and you had a meal at 9, am I saying that right? No, at 7, the food will digest. No, almost no matter what the construction of the meal, unless you just over it. Because that's another thing will mess you up. If you overeat, you eat too much, it could take 7 hours to exit you, whatever. So you could eat a meal in the evening, and you eat it 5 hours before you go to bed. But it's so much food, it's twice the food that your body can handle, that you still can't clear it before 12 o'clock and even 2 o'clock in the morning. You're still there, the food is still there riding you. Now you're not in charge, it is in charge, it's riding you like it's the man and the horse, no, it's the horse and the man. So you gotta contemplate these things. So important, I wish I could stay here for the rest of the evening, because if I could convince you one thing, I would say for your own health, your youthfulness, because this is a principle I think that will mess up anybody's thyroid. Show me a person eating late at night, 12 o'clock at night. Show me a person with thyroid problem. The thyroid is beaten because they can't have circadian rhythms. They can't have proper function because the body never know when to sleep. The body's like, man, you're confusing me. When are we going to sleep? Are we sleeping now? I thought we were going to have a meal and stay up and party. Next principle, we move on, but very important, keep that in mind. No snacking or in between meals. So for meal to digest, it needs to be, and I've said this here before, you need to consider it like a washing machine. You never just pull the washing machine door open and stuff some new clothes in it halfway through. You normally make the cycle run all the way through, and then you wash the new set of clothes. So with food, it's the same thing. Just snacking, what it does is that you're almost like taking the stomach and you're stuffing food in it when it's halfway through the digestive process. So the food that is already digested now is going to get another set of food, and the process has to start over. After a while, you just have constant stomach pain, constant indigestion. Then you need acid, antacid, and it's just a headache. Show me a person again who having problem with indigestion, acid reflux. Show me a person with a food of acid just coming back up because it's a mess. So we give the body time to clear the food, empty it out of the stomach. So now it's out of the stomach and it's all gone. Then you take in the next food. You could even have a situation where you overeat, say breakfast or lunch. And now 5 hours later when you're supposed to eat, you know in your mind, that food ain't leave me. That food is still on me. And it's still riding me. And so you got to get control of this. You get control of this is better than doing any yoga class or any exercise. You could do this, and you can just get rid of it. You can not get rid of it, but you can give a break to even the treadmill. You could use all the treadmill you want, walk all you want, and you'll never overcome this principle. This principle is body mechanics. It's just how the body works. And you could go to 1,000 nutritionists and doctors, and they tell you, oh, snack and or whatever. They'll fail. You're going to be a failure. They're going to be a failure. They'll tell you, this is body mechanics. This is how the body works. You got to limit the amount of food you eat by 2 to 3 meals a day. And you got to not snack, and you can't eat late at night. You do this, you're on your way to your normal weight. Your normal weight is not my normal weight, but you will do so much better if you do this. For weight loss now, this is more specific because I do these things just on a daily basis for life. For energy, because I want to have the energy. I hate that feeling of being beaten by food. So limit oil to 2 to 3 tablespoons per day. So no deep frying food. If you can just saute. You add the oil also as a garnish so the oil is not cooked and eaten and damaged. So the more delicate the oil, like olive oil, you want to put it in last as a garnish. Or just as last when you're warming up the food or when you just finished cooking. You don't want to put things like olive oil, which is very delicate, more delicate in comparison to coconut oil, which is very hard and can take high heat. You want to put oils that are delicate in last. So after everything is done, you put it on as a garnish. You know, so it's on the outside. You don't have to make it soak inside. So you will still get the mouthfeel of what oil does because oil is carrier and it carries seasonings to your tongue so you can taste it better. So you have to know, again, this is what I'm talking about. You have to reimagine food. You got to know oil is a carrier in all essence, all instances, I should say. For essential oils, for seasoning, it brings out the flavor. It's not just salt that brings out the flavor. It's salt and oil. So when we reimagine our food, what we have to often do is we reimagine we can bake something and then garnish with the oil. You will get probably not the same result as if the thing's soaked through and through, but you're not going to get the heart clogging and the body clogging lipids. But what you do when you garnish and when you put it in at the end, what it is on the outside. So when you eat, you still get the flavors being carried to your tongue. You can still get that excitement of what seasonings, but you're not getting it soaked in so it becomes sapped up with oil. You can get the same result or close to the same result. You're never going to get the same result because, as I said, it's not like deep frying, whatever. But you'll get some close to results, very close to with sauteed. I'll give you an example. If you want like tofu, and some of these presentations I normally do with the cooking. In the future, I'm going to do, some cooking. I'll figure out some stuff on Sundays to do. I'll give you an example, right? If you want to get that same tofu or anything to be crunchy, without have to use a lot of oil, and you can saute it instead of deep frying it. One of the tricks to do is to use actually potato starch, right? Corn starch won't do it, none of these starch will do it, but potato starch will do it. So the trick to it is you don't have to deep fry it to get the crunch and to get it where it tastes like, as I say, like chicken, in the sense of mud feel. Because remember, you can get the mud feel but healthier. So one of the ways to do is to season it, like you would season it, and then powder it with potato starch at the end. And what is that going to do for you? When you fry it, it'll give it a crunch. And it will give it a crunch that is a hard crunch. Or when I say fry, I mean saute. So we're not talking about like a half an inch or an inch of oil. We're talking about less oil, just to cover the bottom, just to get it on the outside. We don't want to soak it through. And if you say it's not crunchy enough, I'm going to tell you what to do again. You double fry it, you double saute it, take it out, make it cool for about probably 5 minutes, then drop it back in again. And you don't have to put even any oil, just kind of saute it again, and it will make the cornstarch clump, like really like you can bite it and tear your lip. And if you're still not satisfied, you say, Lord, no, I need it crunch, I need to bite and it go. I'm going to tell you what to do. Add a little sugar, brown sugar, a little bit, not too much. If you add too much, you'll be amazed. It'll be like it will tear it'll cut your mouth. Just a little bit of brown sugar to it, and it will go from crunch to almost candy. All right, you can duplicate whatever you want naturally, and don't ever have to affect your heart or your amount of body fat that you have on. You can get it. I say to you, you'll be like, oh, you're just saying that. I'm gonna tell you, you're gonna crunch away. You won't believe it. But it has to be potato starch, not corn starch, not any other starch, potato starch, right? That's just a side note, right? So important. So you're trying to get it on the outside. You don't want to get the fat and the oil. So you always use that last. Use it to garnish, so you can limit the amount of oil you use, but you can still get the nutrients, not the nutrients, sorry, the flavors on your tongue, so you can still, oh man, this thing tastes good, but without less fat. So these are just some tricks that, I'll share more about, that you need to do to limit the amount of oil. Because remember, you have to look at the oil in your plate. The thing dripping with oil, you have to start seeing the oil. It's going to turn fat around your throat. It's going to turn it around your midsection. You're just going to get fat, because that fat is not going to transfer to anything else. It's just going to go fat in your mouth, fat on your body. The amount of fat or calories or lipids or whatever you're eating is simply what's going to be on your body. So you have to figure out not to make that in your body by cutting out the fat that you put in. So one of the ways is to garnish. Is to do at the last end, so you can put less, so you can still get that mouthfeel. You just want to enjoy your food, but you don't want to enjoy it to your own detriment. And that's basically what it is. So eat a high fiber diet. So the more fiber you can put in your diet, eat a high fiber diet. So one of the things I suggest to do to eat a high fiber diet, and also one of the things to do is to cut back. Many people are always worried about carbs. Well, if you notice, what we do, most of our carbs is coming from grains. So what you want to start doing is switch out some of your carbs and make your carbs being ground produced. So the ground produced will give you a healthier carb, will give you a carb that will fill you up more. See, potato is going to fill you up more than, say, wheat. A slice of wheat bread, volume for volume, cannot be compared to the same volume now, the same cubic inch for potato. Does that make sense? Or cassava, or yams. So if you take the same, say, 2 slices of bread, and you get the same volume of, say, cassava or yam or potato, and you eat that, you're going to feel stuffed, right? You're going to get a better quality carb, and you're not going to be able to consume as much. It's going to fill you up because it's more whole. And it's not a lot of air, because remember, bread is a lot of air. So you're going to eat a lot of it to make up for all that air. And then when you're finally full, you overdo it on calories and stuff. And it's not as healthy because the ground produce, they have more nutrients in it, more minerals, more nutrients to tell your body you're good. You have enough nutrients, stop eating. So we want to switch out, and we want to eat a higher fiber diet, and then we want to eat more carbs that are more ground produced. We want to put into our diet more carrots, beets, those type of things. So we are reimagining our plate look. You're not going to be deficient, and you're going to have to change the way you eat and try to introduce some new things. So in our regular diet that we normally call a standard American diet or standard any country diet, it's a lot of flour. It's a lot of rice. It's a lot of food that you have to eat a lot of it, and you're still not getting nutrients. What we're doing is reimagining our plate to look more colorful, to look more pretty. And what we'll find is that we'll get to a normal weight, whatever is normal for you, and it's going to be a better, healthier weight because the food makeup is different, and you introduce yourself to some new things. Like, this doesn't work if you're not willing to introduce yourself to some new things. Because what they say is it's a person that is mad or crazy. You have all kind of mental illness if you're doing the same thing and expect a different result. So you're here to learn something different. So I'm telling you, part of weight loss is you have to be willing to not do what you were doing. You can't do what you did for the last year or 10 years and expect a different result, else you waste your time. So if you said to me, Lloyd, I listened to your seminar and I say, what do you do different? Say I exercise. Well, everybody do that unless you never did that in the last 10 years. So I'll say, okay, you're doing something different. But if you were doing that, then that couldn't be the solution to your problem. It has to be, are you going to tell me I do something specific? I start to partake of this more. And I'll say, that's what I'm talking about. You have to make a change, but it has to be something that is reimagining how you eat. Also, eat to satisfy, not to full. So you're never trying to eat, you're trying to learn to get that balance between full and satisfied. So you're not trying to stuff it all in, you're trying to say, I'm good. And what you do, you train your body to learn how to not eat too little and not too much. You never want to eat too little, because if you eat too little, you're going to go hungry too fast. If you eat too much, you're not going to be able to process the food properly. You're just trying to get that good, healthy balance. Exercise now, some of the physical things that are obvious. Exercise 30 to 40 minutes every day. 3 to 5 days a week, as much as you can. If you can get to the 5, that's good. If you can get to 3, that's good. If you're doing hard exercise, you're good to know you're going to give your body time to recover. The harder it is, the more time you're going to need to recover. It's better to be fit as you possibly can. And so this is another reimagining. You have to reimagine yourself fit. Whatever that is for you, make it happen. Up to 70% of your diet consists of fruits and vegetables. So you want to increase your diet to have primarily fruits and vegetables. So in the morning, when you're imagining your meal, imagine your meal in the morning, a meal that is going to have a lot of fruits and a lot of vegetables in it. So, I'm going to tell you how I eat, because I eat the heaviest meal in the morning and the lightest meal at night. So often somebody say, if I'm talking to somebody on the phone, they say, what are you going to eat for dinner? And no, I don't eat dinner. I eat dinner in the morning. And in the evening, I eat a regular meal. And then in the night, drink like a smoothie. So that's my dinner. So normally I have my dinner in the morning. Somebody would say, really, why? Because when I'm up and I'm going to consume the most calories, I'm burning the most calories, that's the time when I eat the most calories. And so I eat the most calories morning and midday. And in the evening, I either have some fruits or I have a smoothie. So I've basically eaten most of my calories for the day already. So this evening, I might have some fruits, or I might have a little smoothie, which is basically, when I say smoothie, I'm really referring to a base of almond, cashew, and then with some fruits and probably dates and stuff like that. Almost like this thing on the side of this picture here, with some fruits blended in a blender drink. And that's a light meal. So it takes a few minutes to make my even meal. The morning now, We're talking about, imagine your plate with carb, protein, vegetable, but just imagine the vegetable now start to take up a bigger percentage of the plate, and then the carb and the protein taking up a smaller percentage. By doing that, what you'll do, you have maximum control on your calories, because now you're making the calorie part of your food become less. So one of the things we believe in is counting calories. I really believe in counting calories. And one of the ways to control your calories is simply to increase the amount of fruits and vegetables. So you don't have the dense food like carbs and protein as much, and start to increase the amount of fruits and vegetables. So the food goes to your body faster and it gives you less calorie. So you feel full, digest fast, 5 hours later you can eat again, but your calorie count for the day drops dramatically. By dropping calorie, what you're doing, you're increasing your chances of burning fat. So you want to burn the fat that you store in your body by increasing the amount of fruits and vegetables, and that will what do it. So again, am I going to tell you to count the calories? No, you just do this, and the more you do this, you don't have to really mentally count the calories. Now, if you need to, you do it, and you'll find that you count the calorie for the weight you want to get, and you'll get there within a few weeks, months. Imagine a new you. So you always have to imagine a new you, because remember, if you imagine the same old you, they're not going to work. You have to say, what am I see? How do I see myself? We're going to talk more about that in a little bit. Remove highly processed food from your diet. So you want to eat food that is not highly processed. Don't put a lot of damage. You know, if you listen to this morning presentation, you know what I'm talking about. All these foods with all these toxic chemicals, these hormones. I'll give you an example. They had proven that the antibiotics will cause animals to grow faster on less calories, because it changed the gut flora. And when the gut flora is changed, it made it that says the flora kicked out more waste, and the waste is nutrients for us. So it would process the food in your stomach and push more calories and more nutrients and more whatever inside of the animal. So it's ingested and it's absorbed inside of the animal. So what they find is that they could take literally ground up cardboard with some soybean and some whatever meal that they're going to give to the animal, and blend it together to give them more bulk, and hit them with antibiotic, and they can take that mix and ingest more nutrients, and the animal can grow faster with that mix. So what they find is that people who have all these antibiotics, they grow bigger, right? Antibiotics. So what happened now when you now take that, say that cow that has eaten all that antibiotics with the cardboard and everything, and you eat that cow and you get the antibiotic second time, you now can eat less calories and grow bigger. So this is why I would always say you have to address eating these growth hormone foods. So you can look at the kids nowadays, right? They would just blow up, but they're unhealthy. And they're going to come down with all kind of cancers. But they grow fast. It's like somebody throwing grow. Ever hear about grow? I'm not saying it right. It's not grower, but it's a feed that they give the animal, the growing feed. It's filled with antibiotics and growth hormone. So remember, everything the animal eats, you eat it secondhand. So one of the weight loss things, which is obvious, is to remove these antibiotic-filled foods from out our diet. And when we remove them, what you find is that you're not eating the growing mechanism that's in these antibiotics. That changes your flora and make it that you can eat less calories and blow up. So that's where you can see a person say, I don't eat a lot of food, but I just keep getting bigger and bigger. And I believe them, it's true. I don't believe they're eating a lot of food sometimes. Sometimes what they eat too much of these toxic chemical meats, and they're getting bigger. So that's a side note. As I say, in the future, we're going to talk about that, because I'm going to do a presentation on that to explain to you more how these antibiotic and these various different these different growth hormones that they give to these animals, that when we eat it, we start growing. And one of the things that we grow are tumors. And the animals are growing the tumors. More of that in the future. So address depression and cause of depression in your life. Because many times we find that not everybody, some people lose weight when they get depressed. Some people gain weight and get depressed. So if you're having things that cause you depression, then you know that that could be a knock-on effect to cause you to gain weight. So that's a side note. That's a different talk. but I just put it here as an example of things to do to get normal weight. Vitamin D deficiency. I was looking at a study that this doctor did, and he had African Americans in his practice. That what he did, they were a study on African Americans. He suggested no lifestyle changes. They were going to make no diet or lifestyle modification. All they were going to do is take vitamin D, and I think he was having them on about 50,000 vitamin D a week, something like that. And they were taking, I think, 5,000 or 10,000 a day. I can't remember what it was, but somewhere in that region. So I think 50 to 70,000 international units of vitamin D. And what he did when he did this, what he find out is that they lost about 5% of their body weight within about 3 months with no additional exercise, no nothing. And they reduced their hypertension without no exercise and not nothing. They didn't change anything. They didn't change their diet, didn't change their lifestyle, didn't change their exercise program, they did nothing different. And just simply the vitamin D. Now, I thought about that because they said there need to be more study to find out why so much of the participants had lost weight and decreased their blood pressure. What I believe, I wonder, because they start to study more on it, because it's a newer study. But what I wonder, and they increase their susceptibility to diseases, to regular colds and stuff like that. So what I wonder is happening when you take vitamin D. Remember, vitamin D is a sunshine vitamin, but it also makes you feel more vibrant. So I wonder if it's not necessarily the vitamin D is changing just how the body does its thing only, but also how you feel physically. Because I say, you could feel down, and that downer make people put on more weight. The person feels sad and they start eat more. It's like a problem. But if you take vitamin D, it can make you feel like there's sunshine in your soul. The sunshine got inside the system. Remember a few weeks ago, the president said, what if you get the sunshine inside? Well, the way to get the sunshine inside of you is to take vitamin D. So you get it on the inside, and it makes you feel like, I have sunshine, but there's no sunshine, it's dark. But you feel sunshine inside. And because of that, the person moves more, they're more active, the more they feel better. Because you feel better when it's sunshine, you feel like you want to go outside, go for a walk. So the person might be increasing their activity literally more, and so they automatically lost weight more. Because they're moving more, what they found in the research also by increasing vitamin D, they had less fat physical and more muscle gained. While if you have low vitamin D, you have low muscle, higher fat ratio. But when you have high vitamin D, your fat, because remember it's a fat soluble vitamin, the body seems to burn more fat and build more muscle. So that tells me if you want to have a healthier body, healthier lifestyle, you must pay attention to what the rate of vitamin D. But again, I don't know, because again, when you get vitamin D is when you're in the sun. So it could be that people are in the sun more, end up going out to walk, going out to run, and they have higher rates of vitamin D, else bigger muscle. See, it needs more study now. But I put it out there because it's interesting to think. At the end of the day, you need more sun, you need more vitamin D if you want to maintain good health. All right? Amen to that? No amens? So reward yourself with healthy. One of the things that I think happen to us, say you get a promotion on the job. You want to go out and you want to reward yourself with something that might not be healthy. So one of the things to do to maintain good health is to learn to reward yourself with healthy. Right? Reward yourself with healthy. Probably if you get the stimulus check, probably what you should have done is buy one of the a sauna. Right? You get the stimulus check, you bought yourself a new stationary bike so you can be in your house, you can ride away. Or you buy a bike to ride on the road. You get a promotion at work, you can get a pay increase. Probably it's now time for you to invest in a cleansing. You're going to take some more herbs, you're going to cleanse. You're going to buy a new blender, that new Blendtec or Vitamix that you always wanted to buy. Reward yourself and to learn to, as I say, reimagine how you do life, because this is going to be the new you from this seminar going forward. You're not going to live life the way you're going to do. You're going to see your body as the most important thing that you need to take care of. Amen? And you're going to reward yourself with healthy. So you're going to say, no, when I get something good happening to me, I'm going to go, I'm going to buy myself a box of something that is healthy, like an organic strawberry. And I'm going to go home and I'm going to eat this organic strawberry. And I'm going to eat like I'm a king or a queen. And you reimagine how you take care of yourself. Proper amount of water and fruit juices. So we believe it's best time to never drink and eat. We learn to use our saliva to, while we're masticating the food, to soften the food. If you're choking or you feel the food like it's hurting you as it's going down, the food was never chewed properly. And you don't need, probably to relieve the stress, you need to drink some water to get it down. But I'm just saying, if you're going to eat something and you know it wasn't chewed properly, if you're having pain right here, right? Because it's cutting you and tearing you as it goes down, because it wasn't chewed properly. So when you drink and eat, what you do, you're telling yourself that you don't have to masticate enough and you wash it down. But if you eat the food without drinking, and probably you need to know that there's some water somewhere around the place until you get used to this. But when you eat without drinking, what it does, it makes the food digest better and you have less putrefaction or rotting of the food in your stomach and less fat, because fat a lot of time is just storage of garbage. It receives garbage and toxins and stuff like that. It's an overflow system also. So what you want to do, you want to basically chew the food. When you chew food, and up to sometimes 20-something chews per bite, what it does, it forces that you have to make the food start to get saliva on it. If there's carbohydrate in that bite that you just bit off, and you start chewing, the saliva is going to start breaking down the carbohydrate. So if you don't chew properly, so you're eating flour or rice or some type of cassava or something, when it gets in your stomach, it's not going to digest properly because it doesn't have the saliva on it. So if you use drinks or water as your saliva, you make 2, 3, 4, 5 bites, you drink and swallow it down, wash it down. That food is going to be a hot mess when you go to the toilet. So what you want to do is to use the saliva as your hydration, so to speak, or the softening of your food by waiting long enough by chewing. What that does also is slow down the process of your eating. When it slows the process of your eating down, it takes longer for the food to get in your stomach. Now, by the time you get in your stomach, you feel full. You would have swallowed the whole plate, so your body will tell you, oh yeah, you're full, it's time, because you chew the food. But if you know it's a person who like that, they always have a weight problem because the food is never getting properly masticated. They're going to eat more volume. But the slower you eat is the less volume. And then, we eat, we're supposed to enjoy the food. And you enjoy the food by getting the flavors in your mouth and enjoying the high from that flavor. Well, if you don't chew the food, you never get the high from the flavor. So I encourage you, don't drink and eat. Use your saliva as a thing to masticate food. As you masticate until the food is totally crushed, and you always have to calm yourself down. Take a deep breath and go ahead and chew. Somebody told me that says his doctor told him that says the way he should approach it, every time he goes to eat, he must remind himself that this is not his last meal. So tell himself, this is not my last meal, and then start eating. And if you do like that, then what you find is that you will chew the food and you will calm yourself down and know you won't die. You will live. And this will bless you. So after you eat now, you want to wait another hour or two after you eat to drink. Depends on the food, depends on your feeling. And then you start to hydrate, because what it is, you give it time for the acid in your stomach to start breaking the food down and to start breaking down all the cell walls to get the nutrients out. And then you drink half a cup of water to give your stomach a wash, so that you don't have that putrefaction going on. All right, and I did say here chew food. So that's the weight loss tips. 3 slides that if you need to go back over it, it's only a few minutes, and that to me, if you do that, there's some of the things I'm gonna talk about. 2 more things I'm gonna talk about next. But if you do that, you're on your way to a way more beautiful experience when it comes on to food and your own body. Two herbs that I think is important to consider as an aid, a supplement to supplement all the other stuff I said, is angelica root. It prevents weight gain caused by excessive insulin. Chemicals in wild angelica causes insulin. So it's angelica diuretica, cause insulin to move sugar into muscle cells rather than fat cells. Um, Thus helping prevent weight gain. So notice here it causes the, 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 the sugars to be moved into the muscle so you can burn it better instead of being stored. So that's a good thing. Produces a soothing effect on digestive system because it helps relieve indigestion, gas, and colic. So we want something to help our digestion. Angelica diuretica would be another thing. Another important herb that I believe big time in weight gain, weight loss is Garcinia cambogia. Keeps fatty acid from being stored in the fat, so you don't want you want to everything is about keeping you don't want to build up more fat stores. You want to burn it, aid fat metabolism and reduce hunger. Garcinia cambogia has high contents of hydroxycitrate (HCA). Preliminary research suggests that Garcinia inhibits the accumulation of lipid droplets in fat cells and thereby reduce the lipid levels and decrease lipid accumulation in the liver. The hydroxycitrate acid found in Garcinia is also theorized to improve exercise endurance by increasing lipid oxidation and decreased carbohydrate utilization. So this is what we want, right? We want these type of things. These are the things that we're trying to do in our bodies to get our bodies to work better. So that's the part about the weight loss. Now I'm going to get into this part here now about not so much weight loss, but appetite. Because a big part of weight loss is self-control or temperance. It's to have that control over the body is what we need, right? And when we have this type of control over the body, what is going to happen is that we're just going to be in better. So notice here when I talk about the way you imagine, because a lot of this has to do with reimagining. Notice here in Genesis chapter 3, verse 1 through 6, as we talk about appetite. Notice here, now the serpent was more subtle than any beast of the field which the Lord had made. And he said unto the woman, Yea, God said, Ye shall not eat of every tree of the garden. So first thing we see there, that's a problem. Not everything needs to go in your mouth and eat. Not everything needs to be smoked, or not anything needs to be smoked. You can probably do some aromatherapy, but that's about it. But notice the devil says everything must be eaten. And that's a figure. That person who they say they have a seafood diet, that's a mess. As the Lord would never have nobody to have a seafood diet. God help us if we have a seafood diet. That's a good thing. That's terrible. The woman said unto the serpent, We may eat of the fruit of the tree of the garden, the trees of the garden, but of the fruit of the tree which is in the midst of the garden, God had said, Ye shall not eat of it, neither shall ye touch it, lest you die. So here was this lady talking to a serpent, a snake. It's not a good thing. There's something wrong right there. And the serpent said unto the woman, Ye shall not surely die. For God doth know that in the day ye eat thereof, then your eyes shall be open, and you shall be as gods, knowing good and evil. So what the serpent was doing is having her reimagine what should be eaten and what should not be eaten. See, I'm trying to do the opposite. I'm trying to get you to reimagine what God originally wanted us to eat and start believing that again. Because if the mind does not get convinced that the fruit of the trees and that something should not be eaten, you're going to always be in trouble. If you have no solid principle, because I know that over the years people say, why are you able to maintain such and such? And I say, because I have some specific principles. This is where we get it from the Bible. So this is why I can't do presentation like this unless you understand why. Because there are certain things I will not eat. I pray to God that I never eat. There's things I ate in the past that I will not eat again. I pray to God I'll never eat it again. And as long as I can do that, I can maintain a level of health that the average person can't, because they have no fixed principle. Because they don't have a reimagining of what is food and what is not food. So you have to reimagine what's food. So notice here the devil put forth an idea that's supposed to change the way she sees things. And if she changes the way she sees things, she can never right the ship. She's stuck. She was in a mess because he got her. So when we want to come to Jesus, he has to make us reimagine life. Notice here verse 6. And when the woman saw the tree was good for food, and that it was pleasant to the eyes, and a tree to be desired to make one wise, she took of the fruit thereof, and did eat, and gave also unto her husband with her, and he did eat. Come on now. See, it's just the way you see things. If you see, and you see this new vision of what it's supposed to be and how it's supposed to be, you will not live a healthy life because your mindset is gone. And so the body will follow, the mouth will follow the philosophy of the mind. But if you see this thing, you say, I'm not going to eat any salmonella or any E. coli or any leukemia-filled chicken anymore. You fought a big fight and you just want to fight. It's in your mind. You have to reimagine what is good for food and what is not. What you should put in your mouth. If I see a child, what do you teach a child? You teach a child that don't take everything and put it in the mouth. The child will just take this thing up and go and stuck it right in their mouth. And you're thinking, oh, they're catching all kind of disease. The pastor was up here stalking and he contaminated the whole pulpit, and the child took whatever was coming out of the pastor's mouth and stuck it in their mouth. And you panic. Because you know, oh man, that child going to get sick from whatever disease the pastor has. It's how you imagine it. But if you think, oh, this pastor is healthy, even the things coming out of his mouth going to heal you, then you go tell the child, lick the pulpit. You see? See, it's the mind. So the mind can make you do sick things. Somebody told me, this pastor that went to India, and he said because the people think the cow is holy, they'll catch some of the urine of the cow. When the cow is urinate, they run behind the cow, catch the urine, and anoint themselves to get the holiness on them. See? So you think about it, you say, the urine of the cow is holy. Somebody will take some of the feces of the cow and just anoint myself with it. And they probably do that because what happened, they have the mind, it's all in the mind. But you see, because you don't believe the cow is holy, and you can't see urine holy, you're not going to anoint yourself with urine. You're going to think that's disgusting. See, it's all in the mind. You do wherever the mind sends you to do. So when we imagine, we are getting a biblical understanding basis of what is food and how we should interact with food. We see food in a very intelligent way now. We see food and we look at food, we see nutrients, we see antioxidants, we see all these things, and we see an improvement of the body, improvement of the mind, improvement of the moral sensibilities because we see food differently. And so notice here, she saw the food. She saw it in a way that she didn't see it before. Before she saw it as a poison, something bad, something to stay away from. But the devil told us it's good, she believed it, and she saw that it was desirable. There's many things that I used to think of was desirable that now I wouldn't even think about it. I think that's crazy. Crazy. I wouldn't go eat chicken feet because it's not good. Right? But before, you'd be like, oh man, I can't wait to go eat such and such. The moment you see it differently, you'll be like, nah, I ain't going to eat that. That's terrible. So that's part of the appetite control, is how you see things. What do you want to see yourself? Do you see yourself jogging down the road, healthy and feeling good? Or you see yourself with a walker? Depends how you see yourself. Now, some people, they can't see themselves but with a walker or with a cane stick. See, to me, you can see yourself with a stick to go hiking. And you're nice and you feel good, woo, hiking. Or you can see yourself with a stick, bent over. It depends how you see your food. It's the imagination and what you imagine. But the Word of God instruct the imagination so you have a healthy imagination, not a diseased imagination. There's people I see all the time, and I just know, man, they just need some juice. They did a research recently, and they showed that people with, was it Parkinson? I think it was Parkinson or one of these diseases, that they're very low rates of various different metabolic things. So low rate of vitamin C. They have a lot of deficiency in them. And I remember years back, I was at a church, at a service, and they were going to have an anointing service. And I was sitting behind a person that was shaking. And the person, what I noticed about the person was their skin was almost flaking off. And I was sitting there and said, man, this person needs some organic juices to anoint them. anoint them, you know, like how Moses poured the oil on Aaron, and he ran down and anointed him with the Holy Spirit. What did the person need? I was there thinking the person need is anointed with some organic beet juice and carrot juice and some apple and some stuff to pour on them, and then pour them out and just catch them out and drink it. And all of a sudden all that flake will come off and the shaking will calm down, and they'll get some Makuna Purins and various different things, and they'll say, I'm healed. But the person went up there for healing, they prayed for them, put the oil on them, and I said, what a joke. And the person kept on. There was no healing. But if they get some nutrients in them, as I say, some various different herbs to calm down the inflammation in their body, to get some antioxidants in their body, some juicing, some natural oils from avocado and from ackee, you know, the Jamaican ackee, that's big with omega-3 fatty acid. They get the anointing and they'll start to say, oh man, Jesus is powerful. This is what we need. It's a reimagining of what healing is and what health is. So literally take the cane and throw it away and pick up your bed and start walking because you get some juice. Psalm 78 says, Psalm 78 verse 13 through 33. Notice here this experience with self-control, with appetite. He divided the sea and caused them to pass through, and he made the waters to stand as a heap. In the daytime also he led them with a cloud, and all night with a light of fire. He clave the rocks in the wilderness and gave them drink out of the great depths. He brought streams also out of the rock, and caused water to run down like rivers. And they sinned yet again against him and provoked the Most High in the wilderness. So basically what he's saying here, God can bless you immensely. If you told me probably 20 years ago the abundance that a natural diet would have, I would be amazed. I would be amazed. I mean, this is amazing to me. And you're going to see in the next few weeks as we cover antioxidant. You'll be amazed what natural health can do. You'll be amazed what herbal remedy can do. Amazed. You know, I pause here. I was thinking about it. For the last 100 years, they have spent billions, even trillions of dollars investigating drugs. And almost nothing, very small, minuscule, investigating natural remedies. If they did, I'm going to tell you something. If you drop right there, there's natural remedies that can pick you back up off the ground. But you see, they never investigate. They never explore the depth of what the greenery out there. Because they said we put nothing in natural and we put everything in drugs. And what the drugs have given us, more drug-resistant diseases and more debility. I'm going to tell you something, the natural could do beyond what you can imagine. If only you could just reimagine. The people, they couldn't see that God was, imagine God, a stone in the desert, and God said, Moses, speak to the stone, and water will come out of it. If God does that for you, what do you think God can do more for you? You'll be amazed what God can do for you through the healing powers that he has supernaturally and what he has in nature. You just have to believe. You have to believe. And I've, as I say, I'm a testimony to that. I know you're a testimony to that. What God can do. Notice here, yet they sinned against him and provoked the Most High in the wilderness. And they tempted God in their heart by asking meat for their lust. So they had a diseased imagination. You see, they were coming from the flesh pots and they couldn't imagine what God was going to do for them. They couldn't imagine the grapes. The better, think about it now. You want to have anti-aging? Grapes. The resveratrol in the grapes. But they couldn't imagine that God said, I'm going to give you grapes that you're going to be blue. You're not going to imagine what it's going to do for you. But they couldn't see it because they're thinking meat. They had meat in their heads. Notice here, verse 20 says, notice verse 19. And they tempted in the heart by asking for meat. Yea, they spake against God. They said, can God furnish a table in the wilderness? He can. In a food desert, he can. Behold, he smote the rock that the waters gushed out and the streams overflowed. Can he give bread also? Can he provide flesh for his people? Therefore the Lord heard this and was wroth. So a fire was kindled against Jacob, and anger also came up against Israel, because they believed not in God and trusted not in his salvation. though he had commanded the clouds from above and opened the doors of heaven, and had rained down manna upon them to eat, and had given them of corn of heaven, man did eat angels' food, sent them meat to the full. He caused an east wind to blow in the heaven, and by his power brought in the south wind. So they had manna. You can imagine you get up every day and now it's literally snowing outside. And imagine instead of it snowing outside, the food was falling. Food, as I said, bread of heaven, bread from angels, bread of angels, depending on your translation. You're there like, nah, I'm not impressed. I need some flesh. So notice here, he caused the east wind to blow from heaven and so forth in verse 27. And he rained flesh upon them as dust, and feathered fowl like as the sand of the sea, and let it fall in the midst of their camp round about their habitation. So they did eat and were well filled, for he gave them their own desire. So notice, his desire for them was a plant-based diet. Their desire for themselves was flesh, all the flesh they can eat. And here we are in these industrialized nations where you can eat flesh to the full. They can rain the flesh down. As much as the snow is falling, they can rain flesh on you. And what's happening? Cancer and all kind of weird and wonderful disease. The more flesh, the more disease. The more diabetes, coronary artery problem, all kind of craziness. You see what happened when the flesh come? It's not God's desire, but it's going to be death and destruction. And we've seen it. More, all the bats you can eat. So notice what happened now in verse 27. And he rained flesh upon them as dust, and feathered fowl like as the sand of the sea. Can't imagine that, birds everywhere. And let it fall in the midst of their camp round about their habitation. So they did eat and were well filled, for he gave them their own desire. They were not estranged from their lust. But while the meat was yet in their mouths, the wrath of God came upon them and slew the fattest. Slew the what? The slimmest. Slew the fattest of them and smote down the chosen men of Israel. Whether it be the stoutest, the fattest, at the end of the day, the stoutest or the fattest, depending on the translation. They were big and they were broad, and they got taken down with their own lust. Notice in verse 32, for all this they sin still and believe not in his wondrous works. God created the heaven and the earth, and we believe in his wondrous works. And so you have a superior diet. You have a healthier diet. And as I say, in the week, we're going to flesh it out piece by piece and show. I have told people, you could be 85, and I can, within a few months, I'm not even questioning it. I guarantee in a few months, you eat a certain way when it comes on to fruits and vegetables and juice and herbs and whatever. Within a few months, the food will knock easily 15 years off your life. It's amazing what this type of diet can do. Within a year, knock a 15 years. You just feel amazing. I know people, as I said, creaking, ready to go into the grave. And I'm like, what are you creaking for? Get up, pick up your bed and walk. But it's have to be a reimagining of what God can do for you. God created the heavens and earth. It's amazing what he puts in the fruits and vegetables. They're trying to study all kind of solution for coronavirus. Man, it's right there. I'll just say, man, go take any green thing and juice it. You'll be amazed. Not anything, but most things out there. Notice here, 1 Corinthians chapter 10, verse 5 through 15, as we look at the struggle that we've had as a people throughout the millennia with the desire for lustful food. As I say, we should all be plant-based. No meat should go in our mouth from here onward. Notice here, 1 Corinthians chapter 10, verse 5 through 10. Notice here, but with many of them God was not well pleased, for they were overthrown in the wilderness. How? Now these things, we just read how. The lust after food. Now these things were, bad food I should say. Now these things were our example, to the intent that we should not lust after evil things as they also lusted. Remember, they were lusting after clean birds. It wasn't unclean birds. They weren't lusting after pigs or lobster or shrimp or chimp. They were lusting after something clean. But God, I'd want him to have a plant-based diet. Better diet. No, neither be ye idolaters, as some of them, as it is written, the people sat down to eat and drink and rose up to play. Neither let us commit fornication, as some of them committed and fell one day 23,000. Neither let us tempt Christ, as some of them also tempted, and were destroyed by the serpent. Neither murmur ye, as some of them also murmured, and were destroyed by the destroyer. So we don't want to be those that are whiny, always complaining. There's people that just whine every day and complain. And you know what happened? God don't like that type of whining. Notice in Matthew chapter 4, verse 1 through 4. Matthew 4, verse 1 through 4. Then was Jesus led up in the wilderness to be tempted of the devil. And when he fasted for 40 days and 40 nights, he was afterward hungered. And when the tempter came to him, he said, If thou be the Son of God, command these stones to be made bread. But he answered and said, It is written, man should not live by bread alone, but by every word that proceedeth out of the mouth of God. So notice here the first temptation that Christ had to go through and overcome was the temptation of food, of appetite. And he didn't just overcome it when he was full. He had to be hungry for 40 days and 40 nights, then was tempted. So the temptation was severe. And yet Christ says, look, there's something more important. I have to live by the word of God. And when we live by the word of God, we have power. There's power in the word. There's power in the blood of the Lamb. Philippians chapter 3, verse 18, just taking you through some of these appetite texts, just to show you this is something that you have to deal with, I have to deal with, Christ had to deal with. Adam and Eve had to deal with. They failed. Christ succeeded. And you can succeed. You can succeed. Notice here, for many walk, Philippians 3, verse 18 and 19, for many walk, of whom I have told you often, and now tell you, even weeping, that they are the enemies of the cross, whose end is destruction, whose God is their belly, whose glory is in their shame, who mind earthly things. It's interesting. He says they're the enemy of the cross. Now, what is the cross? The cross represents you denying yourself, taking up your cross and following Jesus. There has to be something that is be crucified. And what it is that the lust, the desires for evil things has to be crucified. And so when we start with our cross, one of the first things that we take up with our cross is that we take up appetite. We go and we deal with that thing because we have to eat on a regular basis. And often we dig in our graves with our fork or a spoon. We dig in our grave with our serving utensils. And so we start there, we fight that battle first there. And when we win that battle, we find that all we're winning is our blessings. The more control you gain over your appetite, all you'll find that will happen is the more blessing you'll give yourself. The cross, though it be something that is being sacrificed, you're laying something at the cross of Christ. And the cross is not our enemy. What it does, it becomes our blessing. Because the more control we gain over ourselves, is less we hurt ourselves. The less control we have over ourselves, is the more we hurt ourselves. Christ don't want us to hurt ourselves. So notice here, their God is their belly. Why is their God the God their belly? Because they make their belly or their desires. And this can apply to drugs, alcohol. They make that become their destruction. We don't want our bellies to be our destruction. Notice here, now the works of the flesh in Galatians chapter 5, verse 19 also. Now the works of the flesh are manifested, which are these: adultery, so the person sees somebody's wife and can't keep their hands off her, or she can't resist the temptation. Fornication, somebody that's not married to. Uncleanness, that's like oral sex, that's uncleanness. The person can't, they're just weak in the knee. Lasciviousness, old men loving little children. No self-control again. Notice a lot of what we talk about as sin has to do with self-control. But how do you gain self-control? You start with the appetite. You start where Christ started, you start where Adam and Eve failed. Notice here, idolatry, witchcraft. What is witchcraft? Trying to gain a blessing that you didn't work for. A person that's into witchcraft or idolatry is a thief. They're trying to gain something that they didn't work for. This is why many of these church pastors, these prosperity pastors, they're not really prosperity pastors. They're more warlocks and witch doctors. Why? Because they're telling people God's going to bless you, and the person don't want to work. They're just going to sit lazy by and don't work. God going to bless you because you're working. That's our message. You're doing something for something. Notice here, hatred, variance, emulation, wrath, strife, sedition, heresies, lie like it's not really lie. They love a lie. That's why people love so much conspiracy theory, because they love a lie. They don't stop lying anyhow. Envy, murder, no self-control. They're like narcissistic, and they, whatever that histic is for lying. Envying, murder, drunkenness. A person that's a drunk person, they're going to listen to this seminar. The seminar has to invite them unless they're trying to get over the drunkenness. There's no self-control. Right? This is the works of the flesh. Because this is when drunkenness is, you're feeding the flesh and you're not going to stop. You just keep going and going and going. With the cross of Christ, you pull back, you hold back, and you try to maintain control of yourself. You're working for self-control. Notice here, reveling, when a person partying and they can't stop. Out of control. All these things are out of control. Are such a light, we say, which I tell you until your time pass, that they do these things shall not inherit the kingdom of God. But the fruit of the Spirit is love. Instead of hate, love. This is all in the sense of temperance. Joy, not out of control. Peace, you can sit still. Show me a person who can't sit still, they have ants in their pants. Just like things biting them and they can't keep still. Long suffering, notice again, that has to do with self-control. Gentleness, that means you're not like easily mad and angry and wrath and right? Self-control again. Goodness, faith. See, a faithless person sees something happen and call it for what it's not. That's why these people, think about a person, you tell them the prophecy is clear how the prophecy is going to go. Certain prophetic outline are very clear in the Bible. But the person is so anxious, faithless, they have no faith. They see something happen and say, oh, it's going to wrap up. Next week, it's done. Oh, man, they're faithless. They're talking about the Bible. Yeah, they're faithless. If you listen to them, they're faithless. Because they don't have no faith in the word of God. They see it going to happen because they want it to wrap up right away because they have no patience. Faith, meekness, a person that's meek, you would say that person would be rash. He would be angry. It would person have self-control because they have the cross. So when we talk about appetite, we're talking about to start learning to take control of yourself. If you have no control of it, notice a lot of people who have even like heroin addiction have overweight problem. They have an eating addiction and they go from eating to alcohol to food to hard drugs to whatever. The concept of self-control is gone from their experience. So how does the Bible say us to bring that back? Start with your food. Notice again here, meekness and then temperance. Now we notice we end on temperance because all of that has to do with temperance. What is temperance? Self-control. Self-control. When Eve was tempted by the devil, you know what Eve was supposed to do? Say, wait one moment, I'm going to talk to my husband. What is she exercising there? Self-control. She believed and she excited, but she jump on in. No self-control. She lost self-control right there. And the moment you lose self-control, it's done. So what God does is bring through the appetite, is sort of retrain us to calm down. To me, one of the most powerful things you can do, that's even more powerful than any of the nonsense that they do out there in the mainline world, the Main Street, the Broadway, like yoga and that type of stuff, and meditation, is to chew your food. You want to gain self-control? When you're hungry, when you feel ravaging, you feel like, oh man, I need to eat something. And you just say, I'm going to calm down, I'm going to take one bite of the meal, one spoonful, 1 tablespoon, I'm going to chew it. Even if you just want to just satisfy the hunger, you just say, I'm going to chew it. And you just start chew it. And even though it's killing you, you're like, I'm going to chew it. You know, you start learning to take control of yourself. It's a powerful thing. And you practice what I'm telling you, and you see how powerful it is. You wait until you're hungry, you feel almost faint. And when the food comes in front of you feel like you can just take up the whole plate and chew it in your mouth. Don't do that. Get your fork, you take the first bite, and you just say, I'm going to calm myself down, I'm going to chew it. And chew it, and swallow. And you know, when you start doing that, you'll be amazed how it brings you self-control. You have anger problems. You know, they say a hungry man is a hangry man. I'm going to tell you to get rid of that problem. You start chewing your food, and you start maintaining your cool when you're hungry. And you will be amazed You know what you do? You don't eat between meal. You start eating and you wait until it's meal. Even though you feel famished, you wait, you eat. Now, if you have blood sugar problem, you're going to have to work that out. But I'm going to tell you, if you have a blood sugar problem, you know what you start doing? You start bringing the blood sugar under control. Because a lot of this has to do with control of the mind. So we see there, I notice it says, against such there is no law. You have temperance, against such there is no law. Because remember, the law was broken because of lack of self-control. The law was broken because of lack of self-control. And so we start to gain back control in our lives. And we start to have scheduling. We start to be able to have control over our bodies, and our bodies not have control over us. So we just lust and we just do all kind of stuff where we lost control. We just lose ourselves. People talk about lose themselves in the music. Find Jesus and stop losing yourself in the music. Gain control. We teach control here. Notice here, Matthew chapter 5, verse 17. Matthew 5, verse 17 says, think not that I've come to destroy the law or the prophets. I'm not come to destroy, but to fulfill. So Christ, people can teach Christ, make it sound like Christ came to destroy the law and prophet. Christ didn't come to destroy the law or the prophets. Christ came to fulfill. Christ was a master of self-control. We follow the master. And what Christ had was massive control. You see Christ even having self-control when he's hungry. That if he's preaching the gospel, he doesn't get distracted by hunger. You see people who have no self-control, it's like they lose it, step over you there, whatever, because guess what happened? They have no self-control. People greedy for money have no self-control. And somebody say, how you get control over, how it start with your food. You start with appetite. It's amazing what you can do. There's many people who will look at someone that's overweight and say, that person has no self-control, but the person who greedy for money, they have no self-control either. And that will lead to other lack of self-control, because when the devil beats you at one thing, he'll start beating you at other things. Slowly but surely. Look at Matthew 15, verse 17 through 20. We get in there. Matthew 15, verse 17 through 20. Says, do not yet understand that whatsoever entereth into the mouth and goeth into the belly and is cast out into the draught, this is not what defile you. That's what the conversation was. Verse 18 says, but those things which proceeded out of the mouth and come from the heart and defile the man. Now I might pause it because somebody see my part of my brain. The heart is primarily what he's talking about. It's what you love. But you love what you think about, right? Whatever is on your mind is what you love. What you cherish mentally is what your heart beats towards, right? So it's the love of the heart. This is not, he's not trying to, there's some people say, oh, he's talking about the mind. He's not talking about the mind, he's talking about the heart, what you love. We get excited over. So you have to gain control of your emotions. You see, when you're unconverted or when you're in the world, you're very emotional driven. People can control your emotion. You know, this is powerful. You could see a presentation. This week there was a video called Plandemic, and it swept a lot of people. A lot of people got caught up with it because the video was done so tense with so much emotion. Foolishness. The whole thing was like a rolling nonsense. But people were emotionally controlled and emotionally high-strung, got them. Because it got you on the emotion, hit you in the emotion, not in the intellect. Because the people contradict themselves in the video, but most people didn't notice the contradictions. Persons say, I'm pro-vaccine, but I'm against their vaccine. I'm against their drugs, but I'm pro this drug. So you kind of their system, and you're promoting what they're promoting, but you just want your company to win and their company to lose. Oh yeah, it's the company backing me. I want them to win and their company to lose. You see? But when you emotion, you don't pick it up. You get caught up with it, you say, oh man, look what's going on. You see, powerful speakers always get you in emotion, not in the intellect. So you don't think about it. So here Christ continues. Notice what he says here. What defiles a man is what's coming from his heart. And they defile the man. For out of the heart proceed evil thoughts, murders, adulteries, fornication, theft, false witness, blasphemy. Somebody said, well, Lord, I thought you said it was the mind. It's always the heart. You can think in an emotional level. And you think primarily from what you love, what you cherish. It's your cherished thoughts, your cherished feelings. You get what I'm saying? It's your cherished ideology. And he says, that's what defile a man. These are the things which defile a man, but to eat with unwashed hand defile not a man. Why? It's not so much that Christ is saying to not wash your hand when you eat. You should clean your buttocks and then take up food and eat it. That's not what Christ is promoting. Many people are still like that. They believe that's what Christ is promoting. That's not what he's saying. What he's saying simply here is that when we eat, That's not what's driving it. It's the philosophy is what we love. If you love alligator meat, it's not so much the fact that you eat alligator meat, it's the fact that why would you love that? Why would you have a sentimental attachment to that? It's the reimagining of what food is that will change you if you intellectually start loving apples. That's what defile you or not defile you. It's the thinking, it's the feeling, it's the emotion. It's the emotion you get, it's where your heart is. That's what defile you. So if you imagine yourself walking without a walker at 60, at 70, it will change the way you live. But if you can't reimagine and all you're thinking is eating deep fried buckets of chicken, that's what defile you. The defilement comes from the thought. Now somebody said, but don't you have to do something to mess up your body? Yeah, from what you love. You're not going to put certain food in your mouth if you think it's not food. So it's the thought that defile you. It's the feelings that defile you. It's how you look at that thing. See, when I see a lobster, I see a beautiful creature that is a bottom feeder. That if I drown in the water, it will eat me. I don't see it as food. So I'm not going to put it in my mouth. But if I see it as food, I'll put it in my mouth. What defiled Eve? Was it eating the fruit or was it thinking the fruit was good for food? It was the thinking. The moment she thought, her action go along. The defilement happened here. She desired it. Desire is not an intellectual thought. It's a feeling I have. I get what you're saying, Satan. Satan, you're saying, or Lucifer, what you're saying to me is that I be as gods. I got you. It's desire. No, he didn't say that it was going to make her wise. He just said you could be of gods. Well, what is God? God is very wise, the all-wise knowing God. So she desired that, and he said, I'm going to give you a shortcut. You just eat that fruit, you'll be as... He didn't say that. He just said, you eat that fruit, be as gods. She heard it's going to make you wise. It's desired to make one wise. She got defiled. Her emotions were gone. Her intellect was gone. Everything was gone. So it's the same thing with you. You have to reimagine what food is. If you imagine pig as food, you say, that bacon, it's great. Great, right? Guess what happened? You defile. Just give you time. You'll be defiled. If you're this old man and you're looking at some kids and you're saying, oh, that's attractive, you're done. It's just a matter of time for you to defile yourself. The defilement happened already. It's just a matter of time for you to carry out the defilement. It is whatsoever man thinketh, so is he. It's how he lust in his heart and think in his heart, so he does. So when we talk about appetite, weight loss, we talk about this type of stuff, sometimes the biggest headache that I've witnessed over the years is people don't reimagine themselves and reimagine their philosophy, how they see it. If you say to yourself, I will not, in no circumstance, I prefer to go to bed with my stomach growling, but I will not eat at 12 o'clock at night, you will not do it. The control is in your hand, but it depends where your heart is at. It is depends where your heart is at. And this is what makes the difference. And you're not going to be able to approach this in a half whatever way and get results. You got to go at it hard. And that's the way you get results. When we do things half-stepping, we don't get results because we don't take it serious. But when your heart is in it, don't you do it? Look, if your heart is in something, man, you go it all the way. Because your heart is in it. But when your heart is not in it, you're like, oh, man, I'm going to do this again. All right, no, I'm going to do it again because I believe in it. Notice here, what is God's purpose for you and I? Notice here in Ellen G. White writing the book, Education, powerful book here, page 15. It says, to restore in man the image of his maker, to bring him back to perfection in which he was created, to promote the development of mind, body, soul, that the divine purpose in his creation might be realized. This was to be the work of redemption. This is the object of education, the great object of life. This is the object of education. What is the object of education? To restore in us the divine purpose of our creation. That is it, so that we can realize this. So when we want to get back to what am I supposed to be doing? What is the purpose of all this? Is I want to communicate to you that we have to get back to Genesis 1:29. We have to get back to the garden. We have to start thinking the way God originally intended for us to think. That's the purpose of all education, is to educate me. So the education we do here is not an education that you'll get in the world. Because we're talking about what does God want for you. God wants for you to be in the best of health, the best of shape, the best mind, the most creative, the most calculated when it comes on to control. That's what God. Notice even after I'm here and I'm talking like this and I go back to read, guess what I have to do? I have to exercise self-control. Else I'm not going to read properly. And I have to tell myself, I almost laughed when I was going to do it because I realized when I look at the text, I was like, calm down. You're not going to be able to read it without calm down. Because now I need to go into that flow. It's always about exercising self-control. It's always about the Spirit of God comes upon a person. The person starts being wild. This is one of the tricks of the devil, to tell people, I remember people in the past, when I was younger in church, I didn't really, somebody would come up to me and say, have you received the Spirit? And yeah, I'm calmed down. I'm have self-control. I'm not jumping up and down crazy. Think about it. You are going to a Pentecostal church. What did they convince you? Oh, if you receive the Spirit, you start jumping like crazy. That's not the Spirit. When the people of God, the men of God receive the Spirit, they're often he was in a trance. You're not jumping. You're in a trance. You calm down. Start prophesying. Start preaching the word of God. You're not crazy, wild, jumping around, foaming. That's just devil worship. That's when you got the devil in somebody. They start getting crazy. Spirit come upon you. You have self-control over your eating. Come on now. You're losing control over the plate. Losing control sexually and having all kind of deviant behavior. You would say, if you read Romans chapter 1, what does it say? That a person who lost the Spirit and have been given up by the Spirit, the person go to all kind of uncleanness and lust of the flesh because they have lost control of themselves. That's the opposite of what they're teaching. It's only when the Spirit of God is not upon us that we lose self-control. Can salvation and lifestyle be separated? The answer is absolutely not. Not what they're teaching out there in the mainline churches. We don't believe that. Because when the Spirit of God is upon you, get self-control. Plate is not going to be your enemy. Notice here, John chapter 1 verse 4 says, in him was life, and the life was the light of men. Our minds become illuminated. As I say, we approach life totally different. We start to see everything totally different. We see the air we breathe. We see the food we eat, the water we drink, the food anything that we consume, we start to think about it and start reading labels. What's in this thing? What is that? Let's go Google that. That's crazy. You mean they're putting that in the food? Are they crazy? These people eating this? Oh, and you look around, you start to see the people look like sick as ever. You start to say, they're eating so much of this sick food. John chapter 8 verse 12, we imagine food totally different. John chapter 8 verse 12 says, then spake Jesus again unto them, saying, I am the light of the world, not darkness, the light of the world. He that followeth me shall not walk in darkness, but shall have the light of life. When we imagine, as I said a few years ago, they used to give people horse urine. They call it Premarin, that's the name of the drugs, for therapy, hormonal therapy, right? Horse urine. And most women didn't know that they were literally giving them horse pee. Didn't know. Most people that take vaccination don't know that they're growing the vaccination on dog liver, in chicken eggs. Just pure witchcraft and wickedness. Most people don't know that many of the diseases that have been introduced to humanity has been introduced through those same vaccinations. Right? So what's happening there? When you start to learn and you start to understand what's in your water, what's in the stream, what's in that duck or that geese or that elk or that deer, you start to say, oh, there's mad deer disease. Your mad deer, I ain't eating that deer. Because you're not in darkness anymore. You start to get some light in your mind. Start illuminate your mind. 2 Timothy chapter 1, verse 9 and 10, we start to reimagine, we start to see life in a different way. We start to see that there's wicked people for profit to try to kill us with the food we're eating. We start to see grandma bent over, doubled over because she don't understand anything about antioxidants, she don't understand anything about natural foods, and she haven't seen good nutrients in many, many decades. And so that's why she's so sick. And when you start seeing her eating some food and start straighten up, you start to say, wow, this is amazing what food can do if you eat healthy food. When we're not in darkness anymore. Notice here, 2 Timothy chapter 1, verse 9 and 10. He says, who had saved us and called us with all holy calling. Come on now. Not according to our works, but according to his own purpose and grace, which was given us in Christ Jesus before the world began. It was the intention of God for us to be upright. Right? We weren't built and made in a cave, as they say. We ain't coming from no cave. We're coming from a garden. Let the crazy people out there believe that they came from gardens. From caves. We come from garden. We came from a place where we fell into this type of nonsense. The diet that they have out there in the world does not represent advancement and civilized. It's an uncivilized diet. You're going on killing all these animals and eating animals. What's so civilized about that? Come on. It's an uncivilized diet. That's a caveman diet. Some of these people, they're so straight up, they think that they go to paleo diet. They're straight up cavemen, barbaric. We're trying to get to a diet where we know all this blood on our plate. Man, you see people say they're eating steak rare. And all this is just blood. And I was like, man, that's cavemanish. Come on now. Verse 10 says, but is now made manifest by the appearing of our Savior, Jesus Christ, who hath abolished death and hath brought life and immortality to light through the gospel. We want light. We want no debt. Can salvation and lifestyle be separated? In the upcoming weeks, I'll be talking about drugs and alcohol, tobacco and all that stuff. You cannot say you're partying at something that's killing you slowly and sometimes killing you fastly and say that you're into light. That's death. You see the destruction of communities when drugs come, alcohol come, gambling come, all these things come into a community. It decimates it. Decimates it. Destroy it. Because it's destroying the individuals. It's destroying their body and their minds. You see people on PCP, on marijuana and stuff. They're mad as ever. How can that be anything good? We don't believe in anything. We believe that lifestyle is definitely a correlation to our salvation. We believe when we serve Jesus Christ, we do just what partake of life. We don't believe everything should be partake of. You know, they say in life that say not because you can do it, you should do it. You know that principle, right? Not because you can do it, you should do it. Almost there now. Ephesians chapter 2, verse 10. Ephesians 2, verse 10 says, for we are his workmanship, created in Christ Jesus unto good works. Some good coconut. Which God had before ordained that we should walk in them. It is God's intention that we should have some rundown with some coconut. Right? We should have some smoothie with some coconut milk. That's what God ordained. I don't know. Somebody say in the garden probably wouldn't be blending up nothing. I don't know. I'm just saying. 1 Corinthians chapter 13, verse 12. For now we see through a glass darkly. We're not seeing everything clearly, but we know. God wants us to eat coconut. God don't want us to do coconut oil. Don't follow these people in the craziness, but no, genetically engineered, canola oil. Nonsense. So anyhow, but then face to face, now I know in part, but then shall I know even as also am known. So guess what happened? The better days coming. Can salvation and lifestyle be separated? No. Can't separate it. You can't walk straight and walk crooked at the same time. You either walk straight or you walk crooked, but you can't do both. So we don't separate it. We don't believe that Jesus Christ died to save us to eat giraffes and snakes and hippopotamus and camel and stork and alligator. But there's some people believe that Jesus Christ freed them because they're free in Jesus so that they can eat all the crows and the maggots. Can you imagine? I one day asked somebody if they can eat maggots, and they say if you have the stomach for it. I'm thinking, no, Jesus Christ didn't save us to eat maggots. You're crazy. Christ wanted us to have a clean diet. When you reimagine your plate, you find that your body's going to start doing better. But you start to intellectually understand and emotionally connect to the fact that there's rhythms, there's circadian rhythms. We're not owls, O-W-L-S. We're not bats. We don't come out at night. We sleep at night. Unless we're trying to save somebody's life because we work in medical or something. We have rhythms that we must follow. We can't be up at night eating and then have to go to work 6 o'clock in the morning. It's not going to work. You're damaging your body. You're damaging especially the organs that has to do with the rhythm, like the thyroid, the hippocampus, and the all the other ones I can't remember. Isaiah chapter 8 verse 19, Isaiah chapter 8 verse 19 says, and when they say unto you, seek those who are mediums and wizards, who whisper or mutter, shall not the people seek their God? Should they seek the dead on behalf of the living? The Bible absolutely forbids us. We don't go to witch doctors. We don't go to people who practice pharmacare. We go to natural. We go to what God has created, and God will bless us. We go and seek a living God. We pray to God and say, God, will you bless me and bless the effort that I make? Matthew chapter 22, verse 31 and 32. Matthew chapter 22, verse 31 and 32 says, but as touching the resurrection of the dead, I have not yet read that which was spoken unto you by God, saying, I am the God of Abraham, and the God of Isaac, and the God of Jacob. God is not the God of the dead, but of the living. We do everything in life here to squeeze a little bit more life out of life, if that makes no sense. I know. Somebody said it, and I always thought it was fascinating. Person said, I'm just trying to get some more, just a little bit more. And I'm like, praise the Lord. That's what we do. Jesus Christ died to give us life. Christ gave us a probation, and Christ says, if you have strength, I'll give you more than 70 years. How dare we cut that short? We're trying to supposed to extend that. And we don't want to extend it being no nursing home. I'm not knocking nursing home. I worked there before and stuff like that. I'm just saying we need to extend it by being healthy as we get older. And the only way to do it is to have a proper plant-based diet, partaking of high amounts of fruits and vegetables, partaking of herbs, eating healthy. We're not going to extend our life here on earth by mechanical everything. If you have to get a bionic limb, get it. But if you can avoid it, please. And stay healthy. This is how you do it. You want to be able to be 40 and feel 20. This is how you want to do it. And this the only way to do it is by naturally doing it. That's what God wants for you. That's what I'm talking about. Just in case you don't know what I'm hammering here about. That's what I'm talking about. You're not going to walk around with an extra 100 pounds and you'll feel healthy. You want to get that off. And just in case you just came in, I covered it in the beginning. I'm just here talking about appetite. So God is the God of the living. We want to live and we want to have life and want to have it more abundantly. While others are go eat their crazy food and dying from all kind of coronavirus, we are talking about life here. We want to stay alive. And every day you get up, you sing that song. We're staying alive. We're not going to die. Hebrews chapter 9, verse 14. And if we die, we die. But intention until that happens, we don't care about that because we can't control that, so to speak. What we can control is what I can do for myself now. Somebody going to shoot me or going to be an accident, I don't know. But I'm just planning to keep longer living. Look, I remember at one point in my life I used to have asthma. I haven't had it anymore. Been gone from my life years ago. I cut out milk, dairy, cheese, all that stuff, gone. Right? And I've known people over the years that died of asthma. I'm still here. And I realized I could have been dead just like them. So when you start going in a healthy path, you'll be amazed at what the Lord can do for you health-wise. And I could give more testimony. I'm sure you could give some testimony also. Hebrews, almost here now. Hebrews chapter 9, verse 14. Say, how much more shall the blood of Christ, who through the eternal Spirit offer himself without spot to God, purge your conscience. Purge your what? Purge your conscience from dead works to serve the living God. We don't want to continue dead works. Where we were before we find Jesus was dead. We were heading to the grave, heading fast. Christ says, stop, just hold up. You need to learn of me. We learn of Christ and it changed. It revolutionized the way we live. And we're still alive here living a good life. And we're going to keep going until Christ says no more. But we're not in no intention. As somebody said to me one time, Lord, I'm not in no hurry to kill myself. I'm not in no hurry to die. There's some people in a hurry. We're not in a hurry. We stay away from drugs and alcohol and all these things that's going to kill us. But it's a possibility here now. What's the possibility? What's the possibility here as we close out this thought? What's the possibility? In Mark chapter 12, verse 30 and 31. What is the possibility in this loving God? What you're going to find here is summarized here is what we need. The more we love Jesus, the more we follow Jesus in all that he says, especially not his permissible will, but is the will that is his perfect will. When we follow God's perfect will, it's amazing how good life is. And we see that the intention of the original intent of God was for us to have a beautiful life here on earth. The intention of God for us not to be in pain, for there to be no suffering and death. And although death and all those things is never totally removed, what I'm telling you is, the more you live according to God's way, is the more you'll find the pain is really removed. The suffering is really removed. It's amazing the life we live when we find Jesus. Notice here, Mark chapter 12, verse 30 and 31. Thou shalt love the Lord thy God with all thy heart, and with all thy soul, and with all thy mind, and with all thy strength. This is the first commandment. And the second is like, namely this, thou shalt love thy neighbor as thyself. There is none other commandment greater than these. I'm going to tell you something. It is true. This is so potent. When you love the Lord with everything you have, because he covered all the bases. Because somebody might say, well, all I have to do is just love you with all my energy or my emotion. He said, look, everything. Everything in verse 30 you have. Whatever you can muster up, that's what we're talking about here. So we're talking about salvation, we're talking about life. We're talking about giving it your best, give it your all, give off your best to the master. And you know when you do it, you know what you're doing? You're blessing yourself. If you say, I'm going to live up to the best that God asks of me, all you're doing is you're blessing yourself. Because all that's going to happen is that you're going to straighten up more. You're going to find you're going to be kinder to your neighbor more. You're going to love more. To live a life and never love is a life that is not lived. We need to live. And you're going to find life is going to be sweeter. I'm looking for more people to love, because the more people I have to love, the more people I have to communicate with, the more people I have to share these things with, it's the better my life is. It enriches my life to have people in my life that's living a rich life. That's, to me, is the life that we need to be living. The more we have people that can smile with us, treat us right, treat us fair, treat us kind, is the more rich our life is. Look at people who are hate mongers. All they do is murder, killing, reveling, whatever, selfish, narcissistic, horrible, suicidal life. But when you live this way, and you love God with all your heart, all your mind, all your soul, you have a beautiful life. You keep the commandments. You have a happier life. You're not suicidal because you're looking to live. You ain't going to strap no bomb to yourself because that's crazy. You ain't going to try to murder people because that's crazy. You want to live the best. You want to save people, not cause them to die. So that's why we love the Lord. We love his creature. We love the earth. We love the things that of the Lord. We don't want to destroy it. But when you're out there, you're just thinking about robbing and pillaging because you just want to make more money, and you just murder people to make more money. It's sick. Lost our self-control. So how do we gain this back? We go with what the Bible says. Where do we start? The Bible says you start with appetite. Why? Because it says love yourself. How are you going to love God if you can't love yourself? How are you going to love me if you can't love yourself? You can't love yourself to gain enough control to stop destroying your body. We start by taking care of these temples. We start by saying, God, this is yours. You give me this, and I'm going to be a good steward. The number one thing that I have stewardship is not over church and business. It's not over my finance, physical property. It's over this body. I have to live in this thing 24/7. I have to interact with this body 24/7. How much money I put into my body, how much time I put into my body. How much care do I give my body? If God was supposed to send his son to be with me, how would I take care of him? There's many people that abuse Jesus. Right? God bless Mary and Joseph because at least they took care of him. How good do you take care of yourself? How good do you treat yourself? You know, today I was saying that the Sabbath is a good thing for many of us, because if it wasn't for the Sabbath, we'll work ourselves to death. At least the Sabbath stop us and say, take a break, man. You work enough. Because love of money is going to, I won't even go down that thought, but that thought is so, to me, like I've thought about that so much time. The Sabbath put a kibosh on many of our activities. So we just stop it and do something different, because it's so easy to lose self-control. When you start gaining self-control, you start to see, man, it's affect everything in your life. So what we do, we start with our plates. And we start practicing some of the things. I'm going to go back over them. You're going to have to follow them. You watch the video, the first few minutes of the video. I cover what needs to be done. And secondly, namely, thou shalt love thy neighbor as thyself. How I feel right now, physically, mentally, I want you to feel that way. How I feel right now, I want you to feel that way. Why? Because I'm taking certain herbs. I'm taking certain supplement. I practice the thing I told you in the beginning. And how I feel at 45, I don't like to say my age, but I tell you, I've been on 4.5 decades on this planet. And the way I feel now, I'm telling you, it's amazing, and I know it's the diet and lifestyle. It's the diet and lifestyle. It is amazing what God can do. And I know that, to me, I feel like I'm improving every year. I know somebody said, no, you're getting older every year. Yeah, I know chronologically, based upon what's on my birth certificate, I'm getting older. When they told me I was born, I took their word for it. But, but how I feel like I'm improving. Why? Because I'm fighting that battle. And as I do it, I said, this is amazing. I'm not doing God a favor. I'm not per se doing my wife a favor. I'm doing me a favor. And what it is, it makes it better for me because at least I feel younger at the age that normally people is really falling apart. And I realized that I could be falling apart too if I didn't do certain things. And because the things I see, this thing that I'm talking about here, the biblical health message, it really works. And I encourage you, what does that do? It makes me teach me how to love you better. Because I'm telling you, I'm giving you love. I'm telling you to take care of yourself. This is love. I don't know if there's no greater love. Christ died for us so that he can get us over. What is he going to do? He's trying to get us from death into life. When Satan came, he take us from the garden and sent us into the wilderness and cursed us and caused us to be cursed even by God. But through Jesus Christ, Christ said, I'm going to repair that. I'm going to bring you over on the other side. And we know ultimately this will never be heaven. But as I say, our experience, we have to compare apples to apples. We have to say, look, when we walk in the way of the Lord, our experience is way better than somebody out there. My experience is better than my experience when I was, say, 20. Simply because of the biblical health message. And I want you to have that also because you should have that experience. It's worth it. Have it for yourself. Start treating yourself good. Eat healthy plant-based food. Eat organic food. Eat food that is not genetically engineered. We're going to cover some of that. I'm going to show you intellectually, scientifically, that they're crazy when they try to feed people this kind of cheap food, these genetically engineered Franken food, killing up the people, making the people all weird. You see the people walking around, they look like they have so much neurological problem. I'm going to tell you, God wants to save us from all that. And save us from these witchcraft people who are giving us this kind of weird thing in their labs that are nothing but Egyptian witchcraft. And so God wants to save you from that. God will give you a natural thing that he created. I'm going to tell you that's going to bless you. So, we'll take any questions if you have any. Do you have any questions, Sister Tamar?
Yes, thank you. So the first question we have is, you were earlier talking about sautéing as opposed to deep frying or frying food in a lot of oil. What do you think of air fryers?
Air fryers is good. Air fryer is nothing but, basically air fryer is a convection oven and a toaster oven combined in one. That's all the air fryer is. And so what it does is just is blowing the air and trying to make the thing like crunch or fry, so to speak, by air. So that's what a convection oven does. So if you have a convection oven, you really have an air fryer. So air fryer is a good thing. It's something that's already there. They just figure out to make it on a countertop. So they say they're frying it. And then what you could do, air fry it and then still even garnish it with oil or something like that. You're just cutting back the amount of free oils that you eat. In other words, free oils are more dangerous than, say, avocado. So avocado oil is more dangerous than avocado. It's better to have olive than to have olive oil. So it's the same thing. It's better to have sunflower seed than to have sunflower, and so forth, as corn, better than corn oil. So you're trying to limit the amount of free oils. You're not gonna not have oil in your diet if you don't have a lot of free oils. What it is with the free oils, it makes it easier for most of it to get into the bloodstream and get ingested and stored in our bodies. While when you eat most of the other stuff, a lot of it get to pass through and you don't get to ingest most of it. So air fryers is just another way to reduce the amount of oil. Anything to reduce the amount of oil for the most part will work. It's just, if my understanding of it, I've never used one, but I've read and watched some reviews on YouTube, and it seemed like, and I've looked at it on Amazon, it seemed like what they've done is figure out how to make a toaster oven and a convection oven become one item, and then sell it where you just get the thing hot like a toaster oven, but it blows the air. Some toaster oven even have that convection oven option. So check it out in your convection oven. No, toaster oven. You probably have a blower on it. and it's basically the same, more or less the same thing. One is just more sealed also. That's the other thing.
And the follow-up to that question is, and this is coming from YouTube, so convection ovens and fast food stores is good?
Convection oven in fast food stores will be better than deep fryers. Yeah. Yeah, much better. If they convection oven it, where it's just more blowing the heat, so it dries it out faster. It evaporates the water, because when you put something in the oven all the time, there's fluid in there. You're trying to dry it out to make it clump together. The air just basically exhausts it faster, so you can get a faster exhaustion. That if you fry it now, you still you still, that's why you're still gonna have evaporation, but it's also with evaporation, when you drop something in the fryer, what it does, it seals in the moisture on the inside real quick, because it solidifies the outside. It burns the protein so fast and whatever batter is there. With the air fry, you could do that because you're doing it not probably as good, but you're doing it with air, because you're evaporating the outside faster, so you don't lose a lot of the moisture on the inside. So you stay. Just me watching the video, that's my understanding of it. Yeah, because tomorrow we have a convection oven at home, so you can get the same process by turning it at like 400 degrees. Turn on the convection oven, it blows it so fast that it singes it real quick.
Thank you. The next question, which is also coming from YouTube, is if someone lives in a food desert, where do you recommend that they should go to get real food?
Yeah, so the difficulty that some people face, even with this crisis that I was finding about in New York City, is that because of the way they constructed New York City to keep poor people in certain location, and those locations all the time are food deserts, they end up, if they don't have a car and there's a lockdown and there's limited public transportation, and they don't want to go in public transportation, it's hard for them to get out and get to the areas that have food. Well, in normal situation, one would just have to go where it's at, and so figure out how to go where it's at. And that's part of the rethinking. Some of the things that one would have to do is probably ship it in. But it's going to cost more money. So that's part of the punishment of some of these places. They're designed in such a way that everything becomes difficult health-wise, because real estate becomes very expensive in those areas. So normally what I have to do is just learn to ship stuff in. One of the places that I personally buy from that to me is helpful is a non-profit health ministry that is a health food ministry called Country Life Health Food. And they'll ship it in. It costs more to ship, but it's so low that you buy that wholesale. Now, normally here I don't plug anything, but I believe that that's a way to get, you're not going to get fruits and vegetables, but at least you can get certain things for a cost, to cut your costs. So that's one of the things I would do. I would start to seek out, I don't want to call it ministry, but things like that. So where you can get certain foods at a lower cost, because you're buying at wholesale cost. Another thing probably is to start a co-op, because then a truck could come and deliver once or twice a week. And if you can get enough people together, you could get probably on a Thursday delivery once a week for, I don't know, I think it'd probably be about $350, $400. And they deliver like some boxes of fruits. You can, if you can have enough people to have the similar mindset that understand they're looking for some organic stuff like that, and you could get that wholesale, you could greatly reduce your cost. You just have to eat it. But, for $300, $400, you probably could get once a week, once every 2 week a delivery anywhere in the country, especially in the Northeast or East Coast or West Coast. So it depends on where the location of the food desert. The other thing to do is just have some things growing in your house or in some buckets. There's different ways to approach it. You'd have to flesh out the question, what do you mean a food desert and where you're located? If you have land, the food desert is just a matter of you thinking to go farm it, to go have a little garden.
I think the asker is probably asking in terms of someone who lives in an urban area where there aren't a lot of available grocery stores or places that are accessible to get good food.
So this is my thing always. It depends on the person. As I said, the moment you reimagine, the solutions will start to slowly come. So the moment you say, I need this, the solutions will come to a certain degree. Because if there are two things in this life, most people are either they have no time on their hand, or they either have money or they have time. So the solution, it depends on which one. If you have time, there's things you can do to grow certain things, certain key ingredients, because you have time. If you have money, well, you wouldn't be asking that question, because most of you've been there, you wouldn't be in a food desert. So it depends on what you're asking, because in the future, I'm hoping next month, Eldoze is going to do some indoor gardening and sprouting, seminar. Because if you have money, then you're not going to be in a food desert. If you're in a food desert, you can pay to get it shipped in. If you have time on your hand, then you can do some indoor gardening just to grow a few key items, some sprouts, some tomato, blah, 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 and you can help supplement. You're not going to fix the problem 100%, but you can supplement yourself with some vegetables and stuff like that, and some greens. It depends on your situation, I think. It's just the mindset have to be there first. The moment the mindset there, then you're going to say, because there's some people have no time and no money, you know. But if you have no time and money, probably you know quite a few people have no time and no money also. So you're working, but you're broke. Well, you can come together, and you can, if the mindset is there, we could figure something out. I'm sure if I could meet 10 people in our area that have no time and no money, we could figure something out. You won't be in a food desert for too long. Any other follow-up to that question? Because that's an interesting question.
Next question. This is also coming from YouTube. What is your counsel regarding the eating of mushrooms?
I'm not sure. You know, I'm in a no man's land with that, because when you read Genesis 1:29, it has to be able to reproduce of its own. Mushroom tend to, like even this week I was talking to my sister, and she had told me something I never knew, that there's companies out there that you can buy manure from that is made of mushroom. So they grow the mushroom, and you know the mushroom normally grow on something that's decaying, and then they'll mulch up the mushroom and make manure, and they use a very powerful manure to try to develop black dirt. And so it's a good potent, they were saying, feeder for farming. And there's companies that produce it in like by the skid load and by the bag, 40-pound bags, and then smaller versions. So mushroom becomes one of those things that I'm not certain about. I've heard arguments on both sides, so I'm end up always in a doubt. So that's one of those things in life I don't really know the answer for. Any other question?
Yes, the next question, this is coming from Facebook, is the 18-6 fasting schedule, and that's a schedule where you're 18 hours fasting rather, and 6 hours of an eating window. Is this a good lifestyle? And if so, can 1 day a week of complete fasting be recommended as a complement to the intermittent fasting?
Yeah, so I'm not certain. I've not practiced anything like that, right? So I couldn't tell you. I know there's people who they cannot eat but one meal a day, because when they eat one meal, they eat for 2 or 3 meals. So for them, eating 2 meals a day or 3 meals a day would be a disaster. If you're working, you could find that you have to burn a certain amount of calories. So it depends. A lot of these things sometimes depend. I'm always afraid that my situation might not dictate for another person. That might be a general rule for the majority. The majority, I don't know if eating a 6-hour window would work. 6 hours could mean I eat 2 meals a day. See, I don't know about that. It's hard for me to come in on something I don't know. I never even heard about that. So somebody's eating a 6-hour window. So that could mean they eat 6 o'clock in the morning, 12 o'clock at midday. That's a 6-hour period. They could eat 2 meals a day, and they probably be quite fine. Some people can't do that because their blood sugar will not allow it. Intermittent fasting, I don't really know about that. It's that for me, what really works, and as I say, I don't know if this is a rule. For what works, is better for me to get control of myself, 7 days a week, than even for me to cut out a day. Now, fasting could work for some people if their blood sugar level could allow it. But I tend to believe that you get better results by having daily control than trying to do anything that will result in in the system not getting into the rhythm. I believe the circadian rhythms need to be trained and retrained. So anything that trains the rhythm is good. Anything that breaks the rhythm is bad. So that's how I think about it. Now I know somebody could give me another principle. You'd have to throw it out there for me to think about it. But I always believe it's better to get into a rhythm as much as possible, 7 days a week, and keep that rhythm. And then when it breaks, the body knows it's a break. It don't believe that it's something going to be normal. So unless you're going to train the body that every Tuesday you fast, and after a while the body figures it out. I believe the first thing we need to get control of is rhythm, and get to train the body to know I eat every day. Come, as I say, hell or high water. I'm gonna eat 6 o'clock in the morning, 12 o'clock, and you train the body in that rhythm. And when you break it, you get back to the rhythm, and retrain the body. And so after a while, the body learn that this is the rhythm. I'm gonna stick with it, and you'll be amazed the body will learn it. So I'm off to read about that. Say the principle to me. Well, I watch the video and I try to find the principle. I never heard about that before.
And it seems like this may be our last question, but this is coming from YouTube. Should you take herbs 20 minutes before meals or after?
This is the thing with some herbs. Some herbs and some nutrients are fat soluble, some are water soluble. So the question is, should you take the herbs before or after? It is not really, that really, I don't know if I've considered it. How I consider it is if you take like vitamin D, it's best to be taken with fat, right? Because of fat soluble, you get better absorption, from my understanding. Some herbs they need to be taken with fluid. So when you're eating, for the most part, it's probably best to take it with the food or just shortly before, and then consume the food down, so it becomes part of your diet. My best method that I use to take herbs is to take it close to my food, not after, but close, just before I eat it, so it becomes part of my meal. So for me, that's the only way for me to maintain a consistent consumption of herbs, supplements, anything I'm taking, to make it be associated with mealtime. So for me, I take my herbs midday, morning and midday. I don't take my herbs in the evening because I'm afraid that they keep me up. Because all of the herbs I take is for energy. Because that's basically, I'm always chasing after the energy naturally. So if I'm going to take ginseng and I want to take it in the evening, I want to take it in the morning or midday because I don't want it to make me can't sleep at night. And so for me, it's easier to see let your food be your medicine be your food. But when I'm taking herbs, it's not really enough to call my food. But if I'm taking a handful of herbs, I just take it just before I eat. And sometimes I prefer to take it with some almond milk or something like that. Now, why? Because I'm taking just a little bit. It's just enough to get it, to drink it down. Because most of the time I take herbs, I don't take it in capsules. I take it in just water. Now, what am I doing there? Because I'm taking it in just a little bit so that I have some fat as it goes in my system. But then I'm going to eat also. And most of the time the meal is going to have some type of fat. So it's hard for me to say after, I don't want to drink anything after, and if I take it after, then how long after is going to be probably 2, whatever. So I take it to digest with the meal. So I make it be associated. It's just a supplement for nutrients that's part of my meal. So that's how I take it. I take it morning and whatever. Now the only type of herbs I would probably take in the evening if it's something to do with sleep. But I don't really take that. So I'm not taking anything for sleep. So I can't imagine. Yeah, so for me, it would be something close to food, because with food, it's for the most part, if it needs to be fat soluble, I know there's going to be fat in the food anyhow, so I'm not too worried about it. But if I'm just taking it with straight water, I'm always concerned, or juice or something, that is there any fat in it, and is it going to make it less less absorption? If the thing need to be fat soluble, like it need to be absorbed via fat. So that would be my only thought. But other than that, I don't know if it really matters if you take it 2 hours after or whenever after the meal. But I just try to take it as close to the meal where it becomes part of my meal. Or I take it with the meal, so that I take if I'm taking the capsule, I take it while I'm eating, so it becomes part of my diet. So I don't have to remember to take it. I just know every day I'm going to take nutrients twice a day with my meal. It's part of my food, become my medicine, and my medicine become my food. And if we have no more, then that's it.
Yes, those are all our questions.
So God bless you. As I say, in the upcoming weeks, we're going to be looking more into antioxidants. We've been looking more into raw. Sister Joyce is going to have a seminar for us either next week or the following week. I just have to work it out. We're going to be looking at cancer. We're going to look at some of these other things. And even as we go forward, because I said the science is evolving as I'm learning more about how to treat the various different comorbidities and stuff like that when it comes to coronavirus. I'll be coming back to that topic coming into June because I have a lot more to say, and I'll keep you updated on what's going on with that. So I pray that God may bless you towards this. Remember, next Sabbath we're doing Sabbath school. We're doing midday service. I'm going to continue in our health for the midday service. In the evening we're doing a seminar, live seminar, health seminar again. Make sure to share the link. May God bless you. Sister Tamar? One song.
Good evening and happy Sabbath again. We'll close with hymn number 560. I'm sorry, 567. Hymn number 567. Please turn your hymnals to hymn number 567. Have thine own way, Lord, have thine own way. Thou art the potter, I am the clay. Mold me and make me after thy search me and try me, Master, today. Whiter than snow, Lord, wash me just humbly I bow. Last stanza. Have thine own way, Lord, have thine own way. Hold on my being, absolute sway. Fill with thy spirit, till all shall see Christ only always living in me. I'll ask you now to please bow your heads as we have our closing prayer. Dear kind, gracious Father, Lord, thank you for sending your Spirit to tabernacle with us through these Sabbath hours. Thank you, Lord, for the blessings that you've given to us both of rest, of peace, of fellowshipping with one another online, of hearing words from on high, from the Sabbath school hour all the way to now. Lord, I ask that you might bless all of those that are in the hearing of my voice. May you keep us through this week, and may you continue to give us the strength we need to make choices, Lord, each day that show that we are preparing ourselves for thy kingdom, and that we are making choices that we can show others through our lifestyle and our example that we are following thee. And I ask you, Lord, to give us the strength that we may do even better today than we did yesterday, and that tomorrow, Lord, if we are granted thy blessing, that we may do even better than we did today. These and many blessings I ask in thy Son's name. Amen. Thank you for fellowshipping and worshiping with us this Sabbath. I pray that the Lord will bless you during this untried week, and that his grace will be upon you. And I look forward to worshiping with you again next Sabbath. Good night.